Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. You know what time it is. We get ready for our Candace update daily watch party. But today I'm going to start a little bit early because it's just like Christmas, y'all. I was like a little kid. I came into my studio and I had been a good boy because Piers Morgan and Candace Owens did a live stream today. I'm telling you, I don't know how good I've been. Like, God, how good have I been? Man, this is better. Come on. It's like Christmas. So we are going to look at the Piers Morgan Candace discussion because it looks like it was kind of heated. So shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Thank y'all, everybody who's already jumped in. Drop your like number up in this chat. Go ahead and hit that like button, all that kind of stuff. I know I'm early. And I'm not even certain when Candace is going live. She might not go live today. Maybe she's changed her whole life around. I don't think that's happening. I think she's going to probably double and quadruple down because, my goodness, in the morning, she's been catching it. Let's go. Yeah, I'm early today. It's like Christmas, though. Come on, just like your kids. Your kids are down there 3 o'clock in the morning. You can't get them up to go to school any other time. Christmas morning, they up at 3 o'clock, making the French toast, putting peanut butter on it, the whole nine. Well, guess what? It's like Christmas today, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the most electrifying comment section, the best live chat on the internet. Shout out to all of y'all. Peace out to all my mods. Shout out to the new members. What's up, Mind Chaos Brew? Shout out to you, brand new member. Thank you so very much for joining us. And Rucky, thank you so much for joining us as well. Thank you so much. I should have looked that up there. Weinstock. I see that. Rucky Weinstock. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining us and becoming a new member. Let's get ready to go, y'all. So again, build up. Piers Morgan, Candace had a discussion earlier today. Piers said it was really spirited, I believe is what he might have said on Twitter.
Planes were flying around tracking Charlie Kirk and Turning Point and Erica Kirk. Why? What is your theory?
I don't know.
But what's your theory? You must have an idea.
My theory is that we should investigate everything strange that happened on that day so we can figure out what happened. The difference between me and you is that I have the courage to take the risks and ask the questions first, okay, before it's popular. You wait until it becomes popular and then you change your mind. Stop.
She made no request of you whatsoever, Erica Kirk, in 4.5 hours. Well, no matter what your opinion is about Candace Owens, and very few people don't seem to have one, she has a definite knack for commanding attention. Many people have been openly enraged by her theorising on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Many have been captivated nightly by what they see as either a thrilling real-time investigation into a colossal cover-up or a cynical strategy to exploit the most emotive and consequential news story of the year. Several of the Candace Owens claims are focused on Turning Point USA, the organisation funded by Charlie Kirk and now run by his widow, Erica, who last week issued this firm request.
She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Well, shortly after that, Candace Owens was invited to a lengthy private meeting with Erica Kirk, which is now the catalyst for frenzied speculation that she may be having second thoughts about some of her theories. She's also, I should add, marking the release of her new book, Make Him a Sandwich. And amid all of that, she joins me now for her first interview since the meeting with Erica Kirk. Candace Owens, welcome back to Uncensored.
It's good to be with you at the end of another year.
Yes, and what a year it's been, not least for you. It's fair to say your fame continues to rise, infamy, some would put it, but you're always a welcome guest on Uncensored. Let's get to this extraordinary meeting that you had with Erica Kirk. It came right after we saw her say in that CBS town hall, you should just stop with the conspiracy theories. So who approached who about you guys actually getting together?
I was approached by Turning Point after Blake Neff, who works on Charlie's show, sort of fumbled this invite. It was, I'd almost say it was a fake invite publicly. And then in the middle of the night said, oh, Candace is not able to be here tomorrow. And they never messaged me. And I think there was quite a bit of public backlash with how they went about it. It just was just not the way that we try to set meetings. And so what happened after was they reached out to me, said Erica would agree to do a live stream, just the two of us. And then after Erica's PR blitz, they reached out again and said that they felt that it was better for us to meet one-on-one, as opposed to us sitting down having Megyn Kelly moderate, which was the idea originally.
Right. And so where did you have your summit meeting?
At a hotel here in Nashville.
And a lot of your supporters, fans of your show, think that you may have been lured into a trap. Did anything while you were there make you think you were being lured into a trap?
I don't know that a lot of my fans think that I was being lured into a trap. I think ahead of time they had some concerns, obviously, because I think in general, after you see a public assassination and you start tracking so many lies that are happening, there's going to be an understandable amount of angst that people feel. And I certainly felt the angst as well. I've obviously been very clear that I am suspicious of some of the characters that are at Turning Point USA. So I totally understand why the public was concerned.
When you saw Erica, she was obviously angry about you in that CBS town hall. What was her demeanor like when you met her?
Well, I don't think that she thought she was angry in that. I think maybe that was the characterization from the public. I certainly thought she was angry as well. And she sort of clarified that she was a bit.
All right, let's real quick. I appreciate this real quick. Can y'all give me a heads up? Is my audio okay now? Real quick, green hearts that you can hear. Okay, y'all can hear me now. All right, got it. Figured it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, let's get back at it. Shout out.
Annoyed by the questioning, the way in which Barry had set up the question with the podcaster Candace Owens, which I think was definitely being driven more by Barry Weiss's feelings towards me, long-running feelings towards me, than it was perhaps for the benefit of CBS and trying to pretend to be an impartial journalist. So I think she was frustrated by the line of questioning, is what she explained to me.
So how would you categorize the 4.5 hours? If you were looking at it in totality, what was the tone of the conversation? What do you think you both got out of it?
Well, for me, answers to the questions of trying to understand why there were so many Turning Point lies and why instead of people acknowledging that these are lies, I felt that there was this billion-dollar psychological operation to convince people that Candace is just crazy. These aren't lies. These are made up. And so I was very refreshed that they owned up to the lies. That was a great first step. And I think, what motivates that? Maybe because despite having.
Okay, I'm trusting peers. But I need to know, what are these alleged lies that they own up to? I think Pierce is going to do a better job than what we think. But to say something like they're lies is kind of wild. What lies? That's kind of nasty work. Okay, let's bring it back in. Shout out to the Best Live Chat.
What I would assume to be the best PR agents and crisis PR agents in the world. We're moving toward a different world where people don't really care. If you are friends with the people at WME and CAA and what they can do for you, that sort of power is ineffectual in this day and age. And so I think they recognize that, and that the public simply doesn't believe the story that they've been fed, and the psychological operation to convince us not to believe our own eyes or to trust our common sense instincts has failed. Okay, and I think on their end, they got more clarity on how I figured out certain things, more clarity on why I am convinced that there are people that are inside of Turning Point that are dirty. And I was able to share more with them off record. And I think that they got more clarity in exchange.
I'm going to say this again. Candace is not she doesn't come across very confident when she is being interviewed, questioned. Go back and look at the CNN interview. When she can control the discussion, she can look at the teleprompter, she can answer, and she sounds confident. this right here this is not good. This is not good to her at all.
Before we get into some of the sort of specifics, is there not a danger here? I've already seen it in some of the reaction from people that follow your show. Is there not a danger that in seeking to be the one that exposes the truth, and I don't know the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I work on the assumption that this lone, twisted, weirdo Tyler Robinson killed him for whatever reason, and I suspect personally that is how this will play out. However, I have an open mind in the sense that we still don't really know what happened with President Kennedy's assassination. I found the attempted assassination of Donald Trump very odd in the way that's been handled by the authorities and so on. I'm not naive. As a journalist of 40 years, I'm not naive enough to say every single thing you've been saying is obviously baloney, because I don't know. And we'll get to some of the more specific details. But is there not a danger, Candace, that by having a 4.5-hour private meeting, rather than doing it in public, that all you're really going to do collectively, actually, you and Erica Kirk, is fuel the conspiracy theories about what you may or may not have discussed in that meeting, what part of the stuff that you've been broadcasting on your show she agrees with and doesn't agree with, and so on. Is there not a danger this is the least transparent way of going about trying to get solutions here?
Well, I'm a very transparent person, so my preference was to do it publicly, but I took the offer, obviously, to have any conversation, because if I hadn't done that, then I think everything I'm doing would have appeared disingenuous. Like, oh, Candace is pretending that she wants answers to her questions, but when she got this offer, she suddenly said she didn't want to go because it wasn't public. They would have felt like I was moving the goalpost. So I was willing to take anything. And from their viewpoint, they felt like after the CBS News and the Fox News hits that Erica did, my understanding was that they felt that it was a good idea to bring the temperature down first by having us sit down and communicate. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily say, oh, well, that's it. Now we're not going to have any other public discussion. I'm hopeful they will. I think they should. I totally agree with you. More transparency, the better.
Who else was in the meeting? Erica was there. Who else was there?
Justin Strife, who is the COO of Turning Point USA. And my husband was only there for a portion of it. And my cousin.
So there were no lawyers, for example?
No lawyers. But they did phone their lawyer because I asked the question. I was like, look, I'm open to being wrong, obviously. If there is something, which I think the media was kind of hinting at, that they had more, but they couldn't share it with the public, I said, I'm happy to keep my mouth shut. And I want to feel good walking out of here that there is something there. There is some sort of a smoking gun. And I will tell viewers just to be patient. And so they did call one of the lawyers working on this case, and it was not convincing at all. He said, in effect, all we have is what the public has seen. And we won't know more because we're investigating and looking for more. And so that just made me go, why is everybody being so over the top and ridiculous? And
I don't think Candace is aware, and maybe she is, and maybe Pierce will push back. Maybe Pierce will push back on this, but does Candace realize that Turning Point USA is basically the victim? Is she aware that Turning Point is the victim and Tyler Robinson is the perpetrator, the predator? Does she realize that? And that the Justice Department, the police, the feds, the fill in the blank, they're the ones that are just collecting information to bring a case against Tyler Robinson? I don't think she realizes that. And I hope that people push back on this, because it shows her lack of intelligence. It shows her lack of understanding for the judicial system, the justice system. Turning Point is the victims. They shouldn't have all the information. They should have only about the same information that we have, maybe a little bit more for real, but really they don't have much more than that. They're the victims. I don't understand why this is not why it's not translating for her, but let's go.
Using words like the evidence is overwhelming, it was Tyler Robinson, when they don't have anything that's overwhelming to show that they don't have a video of him taking the shot, which I think was something that I assumed, like, okay, there's all these cameras, maybe they actually have that video and they're waiting for a moment to release that to the public. They don't have that. Or at least I can say Erica's side has not seen that. And the lawyer communicated to me that they would not have access to that until.
And then lastly, Erica's lawyer is not the one that's prosecuting Tyler Robinson. Turning Point's lawyers are doing the same thing that your lawyers would do if you were a victim. They're just representing you as a victim. But it's the state or the feds versus Tyler Robinson. It's not Turning Point or Erica Kirk versus Tyler Robinson. And I'm wondering, does she realize it? Does she know this? Because she's really big and loud and wrong.
Earliest would be May. That right now they're just investigating, just like we're doing back at home.
Okay, you said that your motive for going to the meeting was that you would be able to come out and tell the world Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. So are you in a position to say that? Do you believe, as a consequence of your 4.5 hours with Erica, do you believe that it is now most likely that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
Absolutely not. I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man on a college campus that he didn't go to and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot.
That's funny because we already know that you didn't need to be Spider-Man to walk up there to the top of that roof. It was almost like a rooftop patio. You didn't need, I mean, literally the stairs walked you right up there. So, and the bad thing is that I believe she knows that. And the worst thing is her audience knows this. Her audience knows that this is not true. So the Candies, the Cantifa people, they know that she's saying something that's full of hot air. And they were kind of holding out, I believe, that, yeah, go up the stairs, not like Spider-Man, like any other man. Every man and woman can walk up the stairs. I mean, come on. So I do think that a lot of the Cantifa members were really holding out hope that something would come out of this that would give them a renewed hope. But now I think they're now disillusioned. There's a lot of people on Cantifa that are disillusioned because they're like, she didn't give us anything. Nothing came out of this, and her rhetoric has been ratcheted down quite a bit. So we're going to see what happens. She's going to probably come out of the bag today.
And killed Charlie Kirk. I have not seen one piece of compelling evidence. In fact, I've seen more compelling evidence to the contrary.
You've seen their vibrant ads illuminating billboards and train stations for many years. Now it's time you actually saw the show. Shen Yun is celebrating its 20th anniversary, a dazzling run, which is...
They're going to uncover more evidence, like it's very clear, I think is what he said in particular. And then I pushed back and I said, what's clear? The affidavit? That's all you guys have? And I did tell him,
charging documents.
You would never be my lawyer. Because it's just, a lawyer that's just kind of giving you adjectives.
Well, ma'am, you don't even know where your lawyer's building is. You don't even know that your lawyer's building is in, your lawyer's office is in the building with the feds. You don't know that. So, ma'am, don't get all big chested about you wouldn't be my lawyer. Ma'am, who cares? And you're probably giving your own lawyers gray hairs as we speak anyway. So they're probably wishing you weren't their client.
I don't need a cheerleader. I need someone to be practical and to say, we don't have anything yet. I think the communication should be, we are hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to uncover more evidence that links Tyler Robinson to this crime. I do feel confident that he was involved in some capacity on that day. As I have said many times on my show, I was the one who broke the story that he was at the Dairy Queen throwing out clothes, a local Dairy Queen, throwing out clothes in a nearby cemetery. And so I do think he was involved, and multiple people were involved that day. And I think he did pick up clothes. I had communication with Lance's family. I had communication with Tyler Robinson's family. And for some reason, Lance is being protected, which I find to be very strange.
I think it's very strange that she big-chestedly tells people that she was engaged in communications with the defendant as well as a key witness. That is wild work. That is some diabolical work that she just says, oh, yeah, I was in communication with him. Is that not witness tampering? Is that not? I don't understand this. I really don't. And when the house of cards falls on her head, I'm not going to be surprised. Let's go.
Family thinks he's guilty of more, and they find it weird that the feds kind of glossed over him, almost as though he was a Fed operative, like he was working on behalf of them. And we've caught the feds have lied a lot. It's just a fact. Turning Point USA people have lied a lot. That is a fact, which they have agreed to. They said that these were mistakes, but they, whether a mistake or not, the public was lied to. So wow. This obviously, matters deeply to me. And it's just absurd that people would think that I'm doing this for clicks. I know Charlie. I knew Charlie. Charlie and I are very close. And it has been one of the most disgusting things ever that people first and foremost tried to start this psychological operation that Charlie and I hadn't spoken since 2019.
This is very interesting. Y'all might want to go back and watch this. This is some super, super, super defense mode. She's really trying to recreate a story in front of us. But let's go.
Lied about virtually everything that I've said on my podcast. I'm not going to let this go. Okay. We don't live in a country that is the embodiment of democratic principles. If Charlie Kirk gets publicly executed and the media apparatus is doing everything they can to cover the tracks. I
That's
would say
what
to
you
cover the
say.
tracks by demanding that there is no further inquiry into what happened on that day.
All right,
That is not a country that I can get behind.
Let's get to some of the details, because it seems to me you've put up a lot of theories, but a lot of them don't seem to have a clear conclusion from you
There we
about
go.
what you actually think happened. I mean, you've been all over this now ever since Charlie was killed. What do you believe happened to him? Who do you think killed him?
Great question.
So I can't tell you definitively who pulled the trigger. I'm not going to lie to audiences and just put something out there that's not real.
Let me back that up. I'm gonna back that up. I think that's a $10 question right there. Who do you like? Tell us what you think. What is your theory? What happened? At least, whether you agree or not, there is a narrative. The official narrative is actually laid out. Sure, there's some plot holes in there. There's some areas of some, like, I don't know about that. But at least we know what happened. At least the official narrative has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Why doesn't Candace have that?
You've put up a lot of theories, but a lot of them don't seem to have a clear conclusion from you about what you actually think happened. I mean, you've been all over this now ever since Charlie was killed. What do you believe happened to him? Who do you think killed him?
So I can't tell you definitively who pulled the trigger. I'm not going to lie to audiences and just put something out there that's not real. But what I can say is I feel convinced that the feds were involved. I can tell you that. I think the feds were involved in staging a cover-up. I think Kash Patel knows what happened and did not happen on that day. I am...
So instead of telling you what I believe happened, this is what happened. Somebody did the pew-pew from an airplane. Somebody crawled out of a hole and pewed from underground. The microphone electrocuted them. Instead of that, she just throws out these baseless claims and say Kash Patel knows. So now we're supposed to go ask Kash Patel rather than ask her for proof and evidence for why she says this? See, that's why this is the dumb stuff.
Convinced by me being told by people that are feds that he is not acting right and that he is not wanting to share any information. Just a couple of people are allowed to even see anything. A Fed told me that they can't even touch the Charlie Kirk file without...
Well, tell us who the Fed is. Tell us who the Fed is. John Q over there on the 920 building. Shout out to the 920 building. Tell us who it is. You keep saying this stuff, and we have no proof that you're actually telling the truth. Because we know about your vetting process, Candace. We know how you vet. And it rhymes with you don't. So what is the proof that you've actually talked to a Fed? Which is, by the way, the Feds are the ones that you say lie. So why would the Fed that talks to you be the truthful one, but the Feds that every other Fed is a liar? See, this don't make no sense. This don't make
risk
no sense.
of being fired, and that he's grown increasingly mad. The U.S. Marshals that were there when they were doing the quote unquote manhunt for 33 hours said that Kash Patel effectively sent them on a wild goose chase, which is what was signaled to the public when he said, we got him, and it was actually the wrong person. And so it caused people to stop looking because they were convinced they had the shooter. They felt that was in order to allow the real perpetrators of the crimes to get away.
But that could just be the fog of the immediacy of these things. We've seen it at Brown University. Exactly the same thing.
All the time,
they thought they had the killer. They thought they had the killer.
Yeah.
It turned out to be the wrong person. Right? It doesn't mean there's any great conspiracy.
And this is just something else I noticed. Notice Candace's positioning. Notice how her literal facial expressions. I'm not trying to pick on it or anything of that nature, but she looks pissed off. She looks mad. How dare you challenge, question, ask me any tertiary questions about this thing that I believe? How dare you? She looks PO'd. She looks like she ready. If Pierce was in the room, he would be in trouble. Like, why are you so combative, Candace? Like, at what point do you ever have joy besides when you're making fun of Jewish people? Like, what brings you joy, Candace? I would love to know what brings you joy. I have fun making fun of Candace, but I mean that's one of my baser joys in life is making fun of Candace. But in the chat, what do you enjoy doing besides making fun of Candace? Okay, if you're a member of Cantifa, I understand you have no joy in life. That's why we let y'all come up here to the front of the church so some of my joy can exude off onto you. But please, in the chat, let me know, what do you enjoy doing besides this, of course, because I know y'all like being a part of the best live channel.
By the feds to cover anything up. And again, even if what you're saying is true, I don't know, maybe you're right. If what you're saying is true, what is it they're covering up? You've so far intimated or inferred something weird involving Egyptian planes. So,
come on, not the planes.
What's that about? You've inferred perhaps Israeli involvement in some way. You've certainly inferred a lot of Turning Point USA involvement. That's a lot of people getting involved here in the murder of Charlie Kirk potentially. But what I'm really curious about is, given you've been all over all this and you've been airing all these theories, well, which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody?
Well, of course,
is it someone turning?
Okay, I love it. I love it. And she's about to interrupt him because he's making her mad. Okay, I'm gonna back that up. Pierce is cooking. I'm sorry. I know we don't like Pierce that much, but Pierce is cooking.
It's true. I don't know. Maybe you're right. If what you're saying is true, what is it they're covering up? You've so far intimated or inferred something weird involving Egyptian planes. So, what's that about? You've inferred perhaps Israeli involvement in some way. You've certainly inferred a lot of Turning Point USA involvement. That's a lot of people getting involved here in the murder of Charlie Kirk potentially.
The French, don't forget the French, don't forget the Ninja Turtles, don't forget U.S., the Trump administration. Look, she got everybody's in trouble with this.
But what I'm really curious about is, given you've been all over all this and you've been airing all these theories, well, which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody?
Well, of course,
is it someone at Turning Point USA? I mean, who do you actually believe was behind this?
Of course, it can be all of those things. And what's really ironic here is that there's a clip of Charlie in the last months leading up to his death where he speaks about the JFK assassination. And he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved.
That's very interesting. I'm not mad about the JFK, but I don't think we should keep equating Charlie Kirk's assassination to JFK. They're actually, in my opinion, they're very different. They're extremely different. You are really trying to shoehorn and cobble together some similarities, but in my opinion, they're not the same. And if we stop doing that and just look at Charlie Kirk and stop trying to baptize it into the JFK assassination, or even the MLK one for that matter, stop trying to baptize Charlie Kirk into the John F. Kennedy or MLK assassinations. Stop it. Treat them as separate individuals or separate events and go move forward from there. Because she's going to make some stupid claim. I already know where she's going. That's the bad thing. I know exactly where she's about to go as relates to JFK and Charlie Kirk's own passing away.
Jay was involved. The feds were involved. And he's correct. That is what it means. When there is a conspiracy, there are multiple people that are involved. Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, it might have been
there are people who had to agree to it. Who would have had to. The Dallas police were involved.
Candace,
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. You're asking, why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been.
I don't think anybody in their right mind is saying that Tyler Robinson fell from Mars. He was a solo individual and never engaged with any other people. So yes, he was helped in that regard. What Candace is trying to say, however, is that he's a part of some grandiose conspiracy, which again makes no sense. If for no other reason, if Charlie Kirk was becoming a quote unquote enemy of the establishment, why would they take out somebody who's becoming an enemy of the establishment, but allow you, Candace, to remain? That makes no sense. It would make much more sense to get rid of the true enemy of the quote unquote establishment, a Candace, a Tucker, a Nick Fuentes, and use that as a threat towards Charlie. That would make much more sense. But what you're saying makes no sense at all.
Multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. Now, who knows what their motivations are? Doesn't mean maybe this person's like, hey, I'm going to help you.
Hang on. Okay, let me stop you. Hang on. When you say obviously somebody at Turning Point, you are accusing right now people that worked with Charlie Kirk at the company he built, which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course.
No, she's trying to back that up. I'm telling y'all, I told you yesterday she was going to stop with the Turning Point is the culprit. I knew it. That's why the Candies are going crazy on Twitter. That's why Cantifa is losing their minds on TikTok, because she is backtracking. And listen to what, I'm going to back that up again. Pierce says that. Okay, let's get Pierce and listen what she says.
But which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody?
Well, of course,
is it someone at Turning Point USA? I mean, who do you actually believe was behind this?
Of course, it can be all of those things. And what's really ironic here is that there's a clip of Charlie in the last months leading up to his death where he speaks about the JFK assassination. And he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved, the LBJ was involved, the feds were involved. And he's correct. That is what it means. When there is a conspiracy, there are multiple people that are involved. Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, it might have been
there are people who had to agree to it. The Dallas police were involved.
Candace,
I'm answering your question. You're asking, why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. Now, who knows what their motivations are? Doesn't mean maybe this person's like, hey, I'm going to help you.
Hang on. Okay, let me stop you. Hang on. When you say obviously somebody at Turning Point, you are accusing right now people that worked with Charlie Kirk at the company he built, which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course, there are going to be multiple people involved. So applying that same logic to JFK, right, knowing, as I do and as Charlie did believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved, that they were the ones that wanted him dead for saying that what is now AIPAC should have to register under FARA. So there's motive. There are people that have to be involved on the ground that day. There are people that have to be willing to allow the perpetrators to get away. There has to be media that's complicit. And that's what literally Operation Mockingbird was. It was established to persuade the public.
Candace, here's the problem.
Well, hang on. It was established. So
but here's the problem with everything you're saying.
In this massive cover-up.
You keep saying, and this is where people think you're prone to endless conspiracy theories for whatever reason.
Okay.
Is you keep using the phrase, they have to have been involved. So by that yardstick, what you're saying is, with JFK's assassination, and we recently had a lot of the files released, which did not conclusively prove any of these things, right? Now, again, I don't know what happened to JFK, but the one possibility you've not ruled in is it was just as simple as Lee Harvey Oswald. It might have.
So another thing that she likes to keep doing is, for lack of a better term, she's just dogpiling scenarios. Because again, taking the JFK and whether or not you believe JFK assassination, if you believe the official narrative or not, and overlaying it, dogpiling it onto Charlie Kirk. Well, there was this people, so there got to be this people and this people. That person was in, that entity was involved, so there got to be that entity involved here. Were there Egyptian planes though in the JFK? That is a question that a lot of us need to know. Info bombing, I like that. I'll take that. Info bombing. Okay, I don't know if you brought that up, Misty, but you are student of the day, gold star. So I'm wondering can y'all let me know, do some research real quick. Were Egyptian planes involved in the JFK? That's what I want to know.
We don't know, right? So when you say the media has to have been involved, Lyndon Johnson has to have been. But my problem is you're stating all these things as
fact. We can't do 63. So it's such a nonsense that to say that it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
You don't know that.
That's just such a nonsense.
You don't know that. That's a good point. And actually, Candace is playing an epic game of whataboutism. That's another thing. Info bombing or whataboutism. This is whataboutism on steroids, because she just throws all this stuff out and say, well, what about this? As if it is a valid point, which is crazy work. All right, let's go.
Okay, yeah, no, I do know it was not Lee Harvey Oswald acting by himself, and then that required national security to lock down the files, and that required the feds to impart, the CIA to impart Operation Mockingbird to convince the public that it was, you can't go against, there's a grieving widow, don't look further into it, don't believe your own eyes.
Let me just say, this is your, Candace,
it was a grand conspiracy that killed JFK, and I am going to say that confidently, and I just think we have to grow up. We have to grow up. We can't keep pretending Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. We can't keep doing that.
That is your opinion. Today's show is sponsored by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night all natural supplements. Thousands of Brits in America
were unusual and
you can't. It's an opinion.
No, that's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It's a fact.
It's not a fact.
It's a fact.
The whole reason there are still conspiracy theories about JFK's assassination is none of this is a fact. You are floating it as your theory.
Because the feds are never going to admit to their own crimes. That is the reason we're still discussing it.
That may be the case, but you can't prove that.
Yeah, well, I can prove common sense that Lee Harvey Oswald did not stand on a grassy knoll and assassinate a president. And LBJ, like Charlie says in that clip, which people should go pursue.
Yes, I know Charlie
all
said
of the
that.
Weird things that happened that day that were unusual, and LBJ decided not to ride that day. And then suddenly he reversed course on all of JFK's policies, and he was fighting AIPAC. Israel killed JFK. Now, going back to your point about Turning Point USA and the ridiculous idea that implicating, this is a $100 million organization. Common sense, if this was not even a high-profile political assassination, and this this was just a guy who worked at a company that was $100 million, right? Common sense inquiry is, was there a financial motive for this person to be dead, okay? This is like Sherlock Holmes 101. And this is what I mean when I say that the public no longer trusts.
Following that logic, is there a financial incentive for Candace Owens to have deleted Charlie Kirk? I think we can make that argument. And I don't think we'd have to do a lot of epic whataboutism. We can literally just look at the last 3 months and say there's been a huge financial incentive for her to delete Charlie Kirk. If the rumor is true that her husband wanted to be the CEO of Turning Point and was turned down, if that was the case, then guess what? There's now more incentive for her to have deleted Charlie Kirk or be involved in it, be a part of the conspiracy, whatever. So I don't think we're making a leap. So following your logic then, Candace, we got to do the exact same thing to you.
The media, because you're acting us to be stupid. And we don't want to do that. We actually don't want to pretend that we're clinical idiots who can't assess things and go, oh, there could be a massive motive here to have Charlie dead, especially when it seems very strange that Bibi Netanyahu, when nobody even had a clue of what happened, this guy's doing the rounds on Fox News and saying, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. That's kind of weird. Did you feel compelled to jump on to Piers Morgan's show and say, just so everybody knows, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk? Why would he say that? Why was he so involved?
Let me make sure I got it right. Bibi Netanyahu is a part of the most elaborate, complex, Rube Goldberg type assassination of modern times. The man's body is barely cold. And this man jumps up and says, oh, I didn't do it. Okay. All right. I really think y'all got to stretch your hands and pray for Candace. Y'all pray for Candace.
Somebody's fighting a 97,000 front war.
Candace, I want to get to the reality of what you're actually saying. So when you say that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who? Who was?
I believe that there were multiple people at Turning Point who are, as I have said many times, my exact words are, they are engaged in a cover-up of what happened to Charlie on that day.
No, but who was involved in his murder?
Good. I love this.
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people
you said they're engaged in a cover-up. They might as well have done it. Come on. That's accessory after the fact. But I bet you Candace doesn't even know that term.
Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe that thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that.
You
said literally.
I did say that on my entire show.
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
When you and I were discussing, that's why I said, let's go back. I was applying the logic of a conspiracy to JFK.
Please, for the love of all things holy, stop using JFK. JFK is not the standard. Stick with what. That's why she keeps getting herself confused, because she's hell-bent to bring JFK into this. And JFK is like, look, man, I'm getting judged for my deeds done in the body. Leave me alone. I'm not worrying about y'all crazy people. That's what JFK is saying.
I said, okay, JFK, you have people that are complicit. Of course, if you apply that logic, if there is a conspiracy, there's going to be multiple people that are going to be complicit by the time, in order for a large stage murder to happen.
You specifically said, you didn't say complicit in a cover-up. You said complicit in the murder. Because I said, who at Turning Point was involved in his murder? And
let me clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
When I was using the analogy of JFK and we were connecting it, I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that, all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy of what happened to JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and listen, were suggesting that a conspiracy.
I said you don't know either. You're floating theories.
When we started talking about the JFK thing,
listen, let me make it clear.
Piers,
shout out to Piers. Piers, and they still have a long time to go. Piers he has got her out of frame. She is no longer in control of this conversation. I expect her to do a Megyn Kelly in a few minutes and just tell him to go F himself. Like, this is crazy work.
I think you're not holding on to your thoughts.
Candace, let me spell out my thought very clearly.
When we started talking about JFK, the implication that you were making was that it was crazy to suggest that multiple people could have been involved at different levels. I was then connecting the dots and saying that in order for the JFK assassination to happen, there had to have been tons of people that were complicit, right?
I understand. I heard what you said.
Maybe you're the person who takes the cameras down. Maybe you're the person that told him to drive that day. Maybe you're LBJ. So they're not all complicit in the murder, but they're all at different varying stages involved in the cover-up, right? So that's what a grand conspiracy actually is.
Okay.
And I do believe, so you don't have to go back and we don't have to go through it. I'm telling you what I think about Turning Point. You know, I am very known for being honest about what I believe. I'm not exactly a person that you got to pull teeth on.
Sure.
I believe that there are people at Turning Point who are engaged in covering up what happened on that day.
But were any of them engaged in the planning of the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I wouldn't know how it was planned. Absolutely, I can't make that. I cannot confidently make that statement. I can say confidently that I know they're engaged in the cover-up because I've been investigating what happened on that day and what transpired thereafter.
Really can't do
I've been
that.
clear. I've named those people on my show. I've said they are engaged in a cover-up, and I've listed the lies. So you don't have to try to make something out of what I didn't say. I tell you what I think. It's already controversial. We don't need to get more controversial, okay? Do I think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger? No. Obviously, I don't think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger.
Anybody at Turning Point,
did anybody at Turning Point,
did anybody at Turning Point, in your opinion, know that Charlie Kirk was going to be murdered?
There is specifically 2 people at Turning Point USA, and I have communicated that information to Erica and Justin Strife, that I would not be surprised if they had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk being assassinated.
But do you have any evidence?
I'm not going to name. I am not going to name those people, okay? Because it's not right for me to name those people until I know for a fact that they did.
Did you give the names Did you give the names to Erica?
Yes. So I absolutely did.
You gave the names to Erica of 2 employees, current employees at Turning Point, who you believe were involved in the preparation for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Is that what you're saying?
I told them that if I were in your shoes.
Candace refuses to answer questions, yes or no. And that's why the Bible says in the multitude of words, there's sin. She could just say, yes, I gave them the names. All this stuff that she's doing, all this dilly-dallying, that's why she gets herself in trouble. That's why people didn't like when Erica just said stop and looked at the hostess and said, that's it, stop. See, Candace has got to give you all of these words because she knows what she's saying is full of hot air. But let's go.
These would be 2 employees that I would look further into. That's
what evidence do you have that they had any prior knowledge of the murder?
Yes, come on.
Because I don't have concrete evidence is the reason why I'm not naming them. So I've been responsible.
You've got no evidence,
I'm not saying,
but you're telling the widow that these 2 people may have been involved in the murder. But you see the problem.
Well, what the evidence for it is people that there is not concrete evidence. It's like you're trying to get me to say something that I never said and then asking me to defend it.
No, I'm asking what evidence you've got.
Let's actually go to, you're asking me privately, did I communicate to them that I think you should look further? That's called an investigation, Piers, okay? So what you're doing is a strategy.
If you just answer the question, if you go back, I'm not going to rewind, but Pierce just said, did you give them names, yes or no? That's basically what she would have said yes or no. She would have said yes, and that'd have been it. But because she tried to do all this dilly-dallying, now Pierce got some more meat, and he's going to keep chomping at it. So don't be mad, Candace. It's your fault.
Like if somebody dies, you're saying to police, you can't ask any questions about anybody unless you have concrete
Nobody
evidence.
said that.
We're at the stage of investigation.
I'm not saying
yes,
that.
you can.
I'm
and
not
let me
saying
give
that.
people in the public the permission to do this. Follow your instinct. If you feel something is off, keep asking questions
No problem.
until you get concrete
No
evidence. And when you
problem
have
at all.
concrete evidence, you should name those people.
No
I don't
problem.
have the concrete
But
evidence.
you have named
I
other
find
people.
there inconsistencies.
Okay. But you have named other
I'm trying to
people.
answer, Piers, you can't ask me questions. You can't ask me questions. Let me finish it. I have communicated
Well,
to
you
them
just
that
told
their
them to ask questions.
inconsistencies make me uncomfortable. I have communicated to them that somebody else who is a third party gave me some information that I am not yet comfortable as I am vetting it, giving it to the public because that's the responsibility to do. These are private citizens. And that if I were in their shoes and had more access to information, I would go down that route, okay? Unless I am fully confident that they actually did have something to do, like here is the smoking gun, I'm not going to name those people.
Okay.
But the people I have named thus far are people that I believe are engaged in a cover-up. Like I said, hold me accountable for what I have said.
Let's talk about one of those
okay?
people. Let's talk about one of those people
Cool.
because the Turning Point producer, Blake Neff, wrote this in early December. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for the show. She has made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. Now
that's it right there. Okay. We all heard her, Blake Neff read that. We actually heard Candace read that. I'm right here with you, Pierce. Let's go.
Let's move then to, you said in your podcast that new information was given to you in your meeting with Erica Kirk about Mikey McCoy that's now satisfied you. On a video on the 27th of October, you devoted a whole episode to this guy and his supposedly
I never
strange
said
behavior.
I have information that satisfied me about Mikey McCoy.
I'll ask you to clarify. Okay, well, you can clarify
Okay.
that in a moment. But let's hear what you said about Mikey McCoy before the meeting.
So we decided to slow this clip down, and we're going to watch this clip slow down so you can see that it is exactly 834 milliseconds from the time that you hear the shots. That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing. Mikey didn't have time to dial, okay? You can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 0.834 seconds.
Now, what was the new information that you got in your meeting with Erica about Mikey McCoy?
So I'm sorry your gotcha is not going too well, but I never then said, I am now satisfied that Mikey put the phone to his ear. What I presented to the public, it was
No,
what
I
Erica
didn't say
gave to
that.
me.
Sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, well, you did say you have
inferred on your
satisfied.
podcast. Well, let me give you the chance to clarify. It's a very familiar story when it comes to debt. The banks win and they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option.
All right, this is good, man. This is good. Shout out to Pierce for sure. His ad reads come in weird spots. So I'm sorry, y'all. I don't want to miss anything that he's saying.
You inferred on your podcast after the meeting with Erica that you'd received new information about Mikey McCoy, which had changed your mind. Would that be the best way to categorize it, or changed some of your mind?
No, I never said that. I just presented it. Well, the only thing that I clarified on my podcast, if that's what they're getting wrong, is that some people thought that he was using a nickname that was his middle name. And actually his real name is Michael, like first name Michael, because I was like trying to find something and I was like, oh, maybe he's actually using his middle name. So that's what I clarified on my podcast.
And you were given
Beyond
call
that,
logs, is
I
that right?
presented.
You were shown call logs? You were shown call logs?
Call logs.
They gave me a printout of Mikey's call logs and I gave it to the public. That's it. I mean, they're saying this and then the public obviously comes back and says,
do you believe Mikey
Mikey
McCoy had any prior knowledge of Charlie's murder?
I can't say that he had prior knowledge of the murder unless I have something concrete. I can't say anything about prior knowledge, but I can.
But you did say that. She said that Mike McCoy knew about it and he was going to be the new Charlie. So come on. No, ma'am.
Say is what happened on that day. Mikey's behavior is weird on that day. I find it weird, like I said on the podcast yesterday, that what has been communicated to the public is like he called Erica instantly. First thing he did was call Erica instantly. And that's actually the call logs show that he didn't call Erica instantly.
But what are you suggesting about this guy?
He called his wife instantly, and then he had 3 ways.
When you got a massive platform,
and then showing his call log showed that Blake Neff actually didn't tell the truth about what happened on that day.
Here's the problem, Candace. You have a massive platform, as you know. Millions and millions of people hang on your every word. When you devote a large part of an entire episode to the strange behavior of Charlie Kirk's chief of staff, you are putting a target on the guy's back. You're inferring it has something to do with this, or something to do with some cover-up, or whatever it is you're inferring. You know what you're doing when you do that. When you saw Erica Kirk, did you say to her that you believed there's something suspicious about Michael McCoy? Was she able to explain to you why there isn't? Or does she share your view that he is somehow complicit in this in some way?
Good question.
Well, we actually dedicated more time to speaking about his father, who I think it's strange to me that man calls himself a pastor. I communicated fully that everything about that man makes my skin crawl. I think he's a bad person. I think he's involved with bad people. And, this is obviously Mikey's a son. And, I asked a bit about Rob McCoy and Mikey McCoy's relationship. I would just like to be clear. I am not going to be emotionally conditioned to believe that asking questions when we aren't getting any answers.
Wow. Y'all, this is Candace. Candace is doing a master class on how to not answer questions. He asked her a specific question about Mikey McCoy. This woman that went on a 10-second rant about his dad, and now she's going to talk about you can't condition me to not ask questions. Answer the question, ma'am. Her problem is that she doesn't answer questions, and she talks too much.
Is the crime itself. The crime was when Charlie got shot in the neck. So,
you've already said, you've already said though. You told Eric.
The easiest way to remove, the easiest way, let me finish. You can't ask me questions, not let me finish.
You're contradicting what you've just said to me. But you have to. You said to me earlier,
what did I contradict?
You said you gave 2 names of people in the Turning Point organization that you believe are complicit in some way. You gave those names, but you wouldn't name them because it wouldn't be right to do that. But you did name this guy, Mikey McCoy, who was the chief of staff.
Because his actions are strange. You're 2 different things. Really, Pierce, I think you're having trouble holding on to 2 buckets of thought here, okay? You said, in regards to someone that was complicit in murder, that is a very serious allegation. I gave them names of people that would not surprise me if they did have foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's murder. You are now shifting gears.
Based on what, though? Based on your own opinion, Candace. I'm sorry. Pierce Morgan is I think he's doing a great job, and he's keeping this question. He's not letting go. Because most of them will just go ahead and info bomb in major whataboutism, and people would forget. But he's not forgetting. Shout out to Pierce.
Asking me about Mikey McCoy and why I am raising red flags about his behavior on that day. Because I believe his behavior on that day was weird. I think it's painfully obvious.
So
that
do you believe he's
I don't know
been
people that
complicit?
don't duck when a shot comes down.
Complicit?
So I'm pointing. I'm sorry that I have eyes, and I am agreeing with the public that Mikey McCoy's behavior was weird on that day. Okay, these are two different things. Now, if I'm going to make the an assertion that somebody had something to do with planning this murder, I better be damn sure. And I need, if I said that on my podcast, right? That's all I'm saying. I had never made that claim that Mikey McCoy planned Charlie Kirk's assassination.
No, I think like a lot of the claims you're making, it's difficult to work out what you're actually claiming. You're throwing a lot of mud in the air, including people's names, which immediately then has millions of people chasing after these guys on social media and thinking,
I'm sorry they get caught lying. Like, I'm sorry, what is this? This is like the public is actually being abused, okay? Let's stop pretending that the victim
are they, or do you just
Rob
want them
McCoy.
to think they are?
No, the public is being abused because you're basically saying, stop noticing that people at Turning Point USA are lying.
No, I'm
How
not.
dare
No,
Candace and the public know? Yes, you are.
No.
How dare Candace?
But when there's
what
an
are you doing?
emphatic repudiation of what you're saying.
If Mikey lies and Rob McCoy lies and Blake Neff lies, and yes, all of these people have lied on record after the assassination. And the public goes, hey, that's kind of a weird lie.
Why don't you tell him? Why don't you say where Mike McCoy lied? I want to hear what Mikey McCoy said that was a lie. Not somebody interpolating what he said, not somebody saying what he said, but Mike McCoy saying something that was a direct lie. That's what I want to hear. Man, Pierce, I'm sorry, Pierce is cooking.
You're like, how dare you put a target on their back by noticing that they're lying? I mean, what weird psychological operation is this?
Do you believe?
Don't lie.
Okay, but
Don't lie.
Do you believe Erica Kirk has been lying about it?
No, I have been explicit on my show when people were saying, why aren't you attacking Erica Kirk? I said, because Erica Kirk has not lied. If to the extent that she lies, I will call it out. And that is why I did call out when she lied. Okay. When she said Charlie Kirk never received any text messages the night before saying that he was worried about that he was going to get murdered tomorrow. I instantly said, well, here we have it. That's a lie. He definitively did send out text messages to both Dan Flood and Andrew Kolba. And when we met in person, she clarified that, okay, yes, that's real. And we didn't know until you said it because he was using a different app and she was checking his iMessages. So to me, if you lie, you're going to make an enemy of me. Just don't lie. How about that basic requirement to say to people, don't lie about what happened on that day. Don't lie about what you did on that day, because that's the first clue to investigators that person should be looked at further.
All
Again,
right.
this is common sense.
Okay, let's move to something else Blake Neff said. He said Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There's always something new coming up. None of it ever pans out because from the start, there's been nothing there. What do you say to that?
He's lying. And that's the reason why Blake Neff is a suspicious character. I mean, him saying that I pointed to a soccer UVU person is complete fiction. I never had discussed that person on my show. Somebody was asking.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Okay, well, hold on, wait. Let her go first, Jason. Maybe she's not going to say what you think she's
out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There's always something new coming up. None of it ever pans out because from the start, there's been nothing there. What do you say to that?
Wow.
He's lying. And that's the reason why Blake Neff is a suspicious character. I mean, him saying that I pointed to a soccer UVU person is complete fiction. I never had discussed that person on my show. Somebody was asking for a clearer photo of the person on X, and I shared it. No suspicion. Never said this person had anything to do with anything. I never covered him as a suspect on my show.
You know what? I disagree. And I know the Twitter sleuths, the Twitter detectives are going to find it. I'm almost 100% certain she said, this person is suspicious. Find out who this person is. It was more than just, oh, here's a picture. It was like, this person's suspicious. He's wearing a green hoodie and it's warm outside. Find out. I'm almost 100% certain. I'm sure y'all will find it. DearWokeC@gmail.com.
Show of anything at all, didn't ask for more information on this person. That kid instantly responded and said, oh, those are our school colors, and that was it. And Turning Point tried to turn it into a thing. Why are you doing that? Regarding the Egyptian planes, that's a fact. Why are you saying she said that there was a military Egyptian plane on the ground that day? There was. In fact, there were two. So why are you pretending that that's like a weird thing to notice? And that is why people have been.
Sure, there's somewhere in the United States, there's 2 Egyptian planes on the ground right now. That is true. whether or not they're no, Pierce, you're gonna have to push back on that one, man. You're gonna have to really make her sweat on this one, because, sir, that is not true at all.
But let me ask you
about these planes. To his
Let me ask you about the planes.
I'm never allowed to answer a single question that you say in entirety before you move on to the next
You
question.
can't just keep talking ad infinitum. I'm allowed to ask you another
No, it's
question.
called answering. You just read an entire statement
It's
of
actually
multiple
called
points of
it's called
blanks. I got to
filibustering.
the second point, and you're like, let me ask you a question.
No, I want to ask you. No,
Piers, you already asked me a question. I'm trying to answer the question that you asked.
No, I want to ask you a follow-up specifically about the Egyptian planes, given you've now addressed it, which is, where is the evidence that any of these Egyptian planes were tracking Erica Kirk?
I am going to be publishing the full document, because there's not even just 2 planes. There's actually 4 planes that have been flying in, and I should be more thorough, because I realized that the spreadsheet I posted.
Hold on, we got a whole fleet. Y'all, stop. We done got a whole fleet. This chick done said 4 planes are following. Lord have mercy. Please, Cantifa, this is your girl, y'all. This y'all girl. This y'all girl, man. Gosh.
Not that, can I just please, without you cutting me off, answer one thing? Okay, thank you. These Egyptian planes, more broadly speaking, now that we have gone deeper onto the planes, recognizing that the reaction to them is not normal, what we can say is that these Egyptian planes are tied to Israel. They've been flying in and out of Israel with their transponder off for years. But regarding the Turning Point USA picture, more broadly speaking, Turning Point USA faith, okay? Obviously, Erica has been involved in a lot of the church stuff. It's not specifically tracking just Erica. It's Turning Point faith events. Broadly speaking, I gave that information as well. I told Justin Strife and Erica, I'm happy to give you this color-coded spreadsheet. There's no question there's a correlation here between Turning Point USA faith in particular, which, by the way, from the beginning of this, I've said something is wrong with this faith contingent, especially because Rob McCoy for a while was heading up that department, and he makes my skin crawl. And so, yeah, I have the evidence for that.
Candace's skin crawl is the most egregious thing on the planet. Making Candace's skin crawl is the most egregious sin on the planet.
We're going to actually publish it on our website, so there can be no question, which I should have done from the very beginning.
But let me ask you.
Showing that these planes were tracking Charlie at various times there where Erica is, various times there where Rob McCoy is, but the consistent thread here is faith events, like Kingdom to the Capitol tour.
Assuming you're right, and I don't know, but I know Erica Kirk, when asked about this, said on CBS, if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You, Candace, say I was here on this date. I have a photo on my phone to prove I was actually in hospital having contractions. So that's one thing she's directly repudiated. But let's assume for a moment you're right, and that all these Egyptian planes were flying around tracking Charlie Kirk.
Hold on, Pierce. I think you should ask her, how does she know that they were actually... She's just saying because there was a Turning Point faith event and a plane was within 100 miles, they were tracking it. That makes no sense. That is dumb. That is dumb. No.
And Turning Point, Faith, and Erica Kirk. Why? What is your theory?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what's your theory then? You must have an idea.
My theory is that we should investigate everything strange that happened on that day so we can figure out what happened.
But are you suggesting
why are we pretending that we don't know why we ask questions? Like, why? Like, you're a journalist.
No, because not every question is a good question. You don't ask, you do not go to a bank teller and ask them a question about the check engine light on your 97 Corvette. You can't say that's a bad question. I'm sorry, that's a valid question. That's dumb. You don't go to the ice cream shop and ask them questions about your last year's taxes. They're not good questions. There are questions that are dumb. Candace, you are the prima donna. You are the queen of dumb questions.
You know what this is. You're like, what's going on? What's going on? Why do you want to know why these planes were tracking Charlie? Well, my theory is that we are being sold absolute Fed slop. The media is doing their Operation Mockingbird Part 2 scenario by telling us, well, unless you absolutely have a conclusion, you can't even ask the question. Yes, we very well can. Keep asking consistent questions until we get a clarified explanation for what happened on that day. And right now, we have nothing, okay? And that is the
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. Yo, shout out to Cantifa. Y'all, Cantifa, I know y'all are Candace is losing it. Cantifa's losing it. I know y'all are in pain. That's why we're here. We are here for you, Cantifa. Come here. Thank you for coming up to the front of the church. We are here to help you. Drop your Cantifa membership card in the receptacle in the back of the church, and just be free of this stupid stuff. You don't have to follow this.
Reason
This
why
is
people
retarded.
are watching my show is I'm the only one not treating them like they're absolute idiots who don't have two eyes and who believe in magic bullet theory and who understand that Egyptian planes should not have been tracking Charlie even 3 times this year would be an anomaly. Okay, they've been tracking him. We don't know where it's going to end, but we are going to keep asking questions until we get clear answers.
Candace, it may be that the person in the media spewing bullshit to the public is you.
No, nice try. It's not. It's
Could
you
be.
by saying, why are you asking questions? Don't you worry about Mikey's feelings? Everyone knows what this is. And like I said, because we have the example,
oh my gosh, this woman is hurt in her soul. Pierce, why did you do that to her? Flag on the play, Pierce.
Concrete example of after JFK's assassination, the media members quite literally being put on the payroll of the CIA. We have a historical example that we can look at and go, we're not doing that again. Doesn't matter how many times you keep telling the public that I'm spewing bullshit. It is only because there has not been anything that has come out of this investigation that makes any sense that the public is not listening to. I am sorry to say this, Pierce, people like you. And what I love about you and I sitting down is at this exact same time last year, you were doing the same weird questioning and making all these things when I said that they were committing a Holocaust against the Gazans, and then you changed your mind.
Actually,
Pierce,
this time,
I'll see you next year when you change your mind again, and we have more information about what happened, and you realize
Candace,
that the difference between me and you is that I have the courage to take the risks and ask the questions first, before it's popular. You wait until it becomes popular, and then you change your mind.
You may remember that one of your courageous moves was to repeatedly tell the world that Brigitte Macron is a man. As you now know,
and she is.
As you now know, we had a $300,000 bet to charity about this because she's a woman.
Yes.
Is my view.
She's not a woman.
Well, we're going to find out is the point, because it's going to court. They're suing you. And when she proves, as she will, that she's a woman, because it's very easy to prove, and you lose that case, then
so easy that she refuses to do it for years.
But then it will become more obvious to people that, look, I think you're a brilliant operator at what you do. That's, I like you personally. You know that, right? None of this is personal for me about you at all. I just have watched him last year from Brigitte Macron now into the Charlie Kirk story. I think you've developed a modus operandi, which, to put it politely, is you flying what we would call in the world of journalism kites, and just seeing what can cause the most merry hell, therefore get you the biggest audience, therefore make you the most amount of money. And people
clip that. Clip that. Piers Morgan's got her number. Clip that.
As you know, you've been widely attacked now by a lot of people who say that you're just a ghoul, a vulture. You're doing this deliberately. You're inventing things or just flying ludicrous conspiracy theories to make money. Now, again, Candace, I don't know that you are, but I do know celebrity. Can you not interrupt me?
I do think it's pretty rich. It's pretty rich coming from you, is all I'm going to say. That's me putting it very nicely, given your background, your career, your celebrity involvement, the Princess Diana. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top.
Wow. Candace is going to do everything, y'all. By the way, Candace really wants you to believe and buy in that she is the part of the hoi polloi, that she clocks in, 9 to 5 every day. She's middle class. She worries about gas prices and how many eggs she can buy this week. She's worried about that. She really wants you to think that she's a normal, everyday person when she's not. She and Piers Morgan are much more akin than you and I are akin to her. And I really think it's adorable that she does that. Like, she tries her best to make it sound like I'm just a normal person. Chick, you're not. Let it go.
Okay, wrong messenger. What you are mistaking, or I guess we're not even mistaking because you know what this is. Crazy. You're talking about power versus the people. And you are always on the side of power first. You're on the side of the Israelis. It's so horrible. I'm going to pretend I don't see tens of thousands of Gazans dying.
I've actually been very critical of the Israelis, as you know,
where
in the
your
last
bread
year.
is buttered. Everybody knows Brigitte Macron has a penis, okay? It's very easy to present photos of 30 years of your life. Brigitte keeps teasing, Brigitte, we're going to find out for a blood test. We asked you for some photos and you refused to do it. And everybody knows that Charlie Kirk was not shot by Tyler Robinson on a rooftop. I am sorry that in this day and age, there seems to be such a shortage of testosterone that a woman has to be the person that states the obvious, right? I invite you to join me, and I know that you will by the end of next year, because they're not going to get away with what they did to my friend Charlie Kirk, and I am not going to change my mind, least of all when I am being called names by someone who has quite a background and experience in doing things because it's lucrative and not always because it's sensitive.
Sure,
it's always lovely.
You can call me.
Okay, finish it. Don't
as much as you want. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just simply saying what other people have been saying about you. I didn't say I felt that.
Thank you.
I said
I'll let you know what people are saying about you too. I'll keep you
posted. I read it all
like you.
I read it all the time. But I would say that, like I said at the start of this interview, I don't know whether any of the things you're saying are true or not. I just do know you're saying a huge amount of stuff. It's making you very wealthy. You're getting millions and millions of people coming in, which by the way...
what is this idea that it's making me very wealthy? Can you actually explain that slowly?
Yes, I'm going to explain it to you slowly, because I had a huge run-in, for example...
This is just like a talking point.
No, I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. When Sandy Hook happened and Alex Jones began weaponizing the Sandy Hook tragedy and weaponizing the grief of the poor parents who'd lost their children, and I began to attack him in public. And then eventually there was a court case, and it turned out he'd been spewing deliberate lies, and that every time he spewed them, they found he made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the immediate aftermath of spewing the repeated lies that it was all staged and the family.
Okay, I'm gonna push back on Pierce, because I want to be a fair dealer. I don't think we need to bring in Alex Jones to justify saying that Candace is making bank on these false narratives. All you got to do is just pull up her social blade and play board. That's all you got to do. We don't have to talk about Alex Jones. I think that's going to muddy the water, in my opinion. Let's go.
Were actors and so on, which he knew to be lies, and he made himself extremely rich and ended up with $1 billion defamation finding against him because he'd been deliberately weaponizing people's grief. And the charge...
I'm asking you to explain the actual financial metrics. How was he making money?
I'm explaining to you the analogy, which is there are, as you know, right now, a lot of people, from Tim Pool to the New York Post to others, who've come out very stridently in the last week, and say that's exactly what you've been doing with Erica Kirk.
Yeah, but you haven't answered the question. So this is just made up. As I said, this is just all fluff. You're suggesting that I'm making money. Did I sign a new advertiser? Are we reading more? Are we reading more ads? Do we put this somewhere else? Do we sign
the more
a book
views
deal?
you get on YouTube.
So
why don't you just show? See, if I asked this question, I would not have brought up Alex Jones. I would have just said, here's a shot of your social blade before you started talking about Charlie Kirk. It was on the downswing. Now, once you start talking about Charlie Kirk, it shot up astronomically. Here's a picture of your playboard before. That's all I would do. I would not have brought in Alex Jones. Alex Jones was a waste of time.
Did I sell a T-shirt? Okay, but come on now, Pierce. Money on YouTube? Are you kidding me? I was already in a top 10 podcast globally before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And if you think that I would want my friend to be assassinated so I could go from being in the top 5 to being number 1, you're out of your mind. Okay,
I'm telling you.
But nobody said that though. See, that's the thing. Nobody said that.
I'm telling you.
But the point is that everyone who is saying that I'm making more money cannot say how I'm making more money because it's just not true. Okay, so you're she got a bump in.
I can show you in your YouTube analytics how when you put up a pre-recorded video as a live stream that you make 3 times as much. I can show you that. I can show you your social blade. I can show you your playboard. And we're not even talking about your advertisers, merch, books, book sales, book club. We're not talking about any of that. I can show you just here on YouTube, and that's not any other platforms. No, you're making a lot of money, Candace. Stop it.
Viewership talking about
your YouTube numbers
everyone in the world because it was a public assassination.
And then
it went up in the weeks following, and it went back to normal.
Candace, are your YouTube numbers up since you've been doing the Charlie Kirk investigations?
What I am saying to you is that this is the exact same argument you guys had about Brigitte. So it can't, and then the same exact
same
argument.
I think you were lying about Brigitte.
About the Blake Lively thing. Okay, but what about the Blake Lively thing? So you can't keep saying that, she's always in the top 10 because she's talking about something. Or this is my podcast and it's me. It's just me. People enjoy my podcast because I don't treat them like they're idiots. I don't treat them like they should accept that Brigitte Crone just can't present one photo of herself raising her kids across 30 years. It's just too much to ask. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. How dare you? It's such an intrusion of privacy. She'd rather file a transatlantic lawsuit than to just produce photos and put all of this to bed. That's the difference between you and I. So now there's this repeat lie from Kamala Chronicles, which we did looking into Kamala's background because it was relevant to the election cycle. Then we did the Blake Lively lawsuit, and they said, she's trying to change her brand. That's the only reason her numbers are up. Then we went to Brigitte, which I lost, by the way. I had to get a whole career change when I first covered that story. So joke's on me if I'm doing this to make money, but I was willing to be fired to tell the truth. And then it's all about Brigitte. And now we've arrived at Charlie Kirk. I feel like there's something about that actually is just people not being willing to admit that what people appreciate about me and why they keep coming back is that I'm willing to take risks to tell the truth.
No, I think so. Don't get me wrong.
I was already sold out on ads to the end of the year because our podcast was successful. Yeah, I have not sold a T-shirt, nothing with his name on it. It's just me.
Candace, the reason I told the Alex Jones story is he did incredibly well out of Sandy Hook with his investigations. But as was established in the court case against him, brought by the families eventually, and I think we're going to see the same thing with Brigitte Macron and you, is that he was weaponizing deliberate lies for money. And I think you've
Brigitte Macron has a penis. I really want you to know
Brigitte Macron
that.
does not have a penis.
Brigitte Macron has a penis.
No, she doesn't.
I'm sorry.
She had 3 children.
Did she get it removed?
She had 3 children.
Yeah, you can have adoptive children. You can call somebody, but Brigitte Macron was born a dude named Jean-Michel Chauvenel.
Well,
and I just feel, I want you to know that. I want you to know that Brigitte Macron probably stands peeing up. Probably peeing standing up. Is what I want you to know.
The beauty is we have a big bet.
I think Brigitte
we have a big
stands.
bet, and we're going to find out because it's going to court. And you will lose that court case. I think you will.
Yeah. I am not going to lose a court case because Brigitte is presenting evidence that Brigitte was born a woman, because that's never even been offered. That's just their PR coming after and saying these things. Nobody believes that Brigitte Macron is just unable to present any pictures. Nobody's asking for blood.
All right, let's wait for the court
You did
case.
ask for blood. That is a silly argument because you did ask for blood. You did ask for it. Stop it. Stop it. You just don't want us to remember it. That's what it
Let's
is.
wait for the court case.
Okay, great.
Now, look,
and you will be proven wrong again unless
the
there's
fallout,
just federal corruption.
Okay, in the fallout from your encounter with Erica Kirk, Nick Fuentes said Candace Owens is done.
Fallout.
What a letdown.
Oh, LOL.
Tim Pool has called you evil. He says you're motivated by the fact you were secretly in love with Charlie Kirk. Is that true?
This is such ridiculous. Like, this is what I mean when I say it's like LOL Fed swap.
Say no.
Oh, did Tim Pool say that I was secretly?
Just say no, Candace. All this extra, like your economy of words, you're wasting words now. Just say no, that you weren't in love with Charlie Kirk, Candace. If you weren't in love with Charlie Kirk.
Really in love with him. This is it's so. Come on, there's no substance to this. This is so ridiculous. It's by any means necessary. Come out and attack Candace. The New York Post did an article that it was honestly amazing fan fiction. They even said that we used to work at Daily Wire. I'd throw my keys at my staff, and my staff hated me. I did not drive to work a single day when I was at the Daily Wire. They had a driver take me there. So we're just now in this weird spot where they're just making things up every single day. They said that my husband had a Qatari passport, and I just ignore it. And I keep investigating because I know what it's meant to do. It's meant to distract me. I'm very aware of what these people are trying to do, and it's not working. So I don't really feel
Which of your theories?
Which of Nick Fuentes and Tim Pool.
All right. Which of your theories when you were with Erica did she think was convincing?
We didn't. What do you mean by that?
Well, did she think that Israel was involved? Did she think that there were French paratroopers involved? Did she think the Egyptian planes were complicit? Did she believe that Turning Point employees were involved? Which of the many theories
I wasn't. I guess
did she think she's actually got any merit to it?
I think you're characterizing it like
that face said it all right there. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna back up because she's going live at 5:00, but I'm gonna back up just a little smidgen. That face right there, that tells you everything you need to know. If you were unclear, if you were still doubting, this face that she's gonna make, I'm gonna stop on it now. I'm gonna big screen this joint. This right here this tells it everything you need to know.
Think that Israel was involved? Did she think that there were French paratroopers involved? Did she think the Egyptian planes were complicit? Did she believe that?
Lord, what am I about to say? What should I say, Lord? Please tell me what to say, because I need a lie. Please, Lord. Please, Father of lies, tell me what to say, because I don't know what to say, because I need to lie. I need a scapegoat. Can I please get a lifeline? Can I call a friend? Candace, you are the joy of my soul. Y'all, Candace is making sure this old man's body is getting a thorough workout. Oh my gosh. I don't laugh this much as I laugh watching this. Who put this woman's face on this screen like this? Shame on editor and producer Jason. I'm going to fire both of them. Oh my gosh. And you better not put that on a thumbnail, and you better not email that to me. Some funny thumbnail, dearwokec@gmail.com. I will not accept it.
Turning Point employees were involved. Which of the many theories
I wasn't. I guess.
Did she think she's actually got any merit to it?
I think you're characterizing it like I sat down and tried to convince her of my theories. That wasn't the nature of the meeting that we had. I shared information with her and told her.
I'm sorry. This woman done lied herself into a tizzy. She said yesterday that they confirmed her theories. Man, I don't ever look, I'm not trying to be holier than thou. Y'all know my name is Jason. Y'all know I'm a Christian. I believe in being honest with you all. I don't ever want to be this down bad that I'm over here lying like this. Look, I've been down bad. Y'all been down bad before. In the chat, put down bad if you've ever been down bad before. I've been down bad before, but I don't ever want to lie like this. Y'all, please, if y'all catch your boy lying like this, please unequivocally call me out. Don't let me be down bad like this. Look, I'll give you my own pastor's number, my head deacon's number, my ruling elder, my wife's number, my mom, my kids. Don't let me be this down bad. Somebody love me enough to not be this down bad, because Candace is down bad. I can't take it. Oh, gosh. Okay, got to get done. Stop, man. Stop.
What the feds were ignoring. And these are the things I'm looking into. Obviously, explain to her about the Egyptian planes and this bizarre connection to, Turning Point faith events and tours. And yeah, it was kind of like sharing the information with her. So there was nothing.
I can't stop, man. I can't. I'm sorry. If y'all came to the show because you were expecting it to be serious, I'm going to let you down. I am a human, and I let you down. This is the most retardedest, stupidest thing I've heard in my life. You do know that Candace started out with the planes were following Charlie. Then the planes were following Charlie and Erica. And now now there's 4 of them. So they done upgraded the fleet of planes. I can't even say this with a straight face, man. That these planes are... This woman is so stupid. I can't do it.
But again, here's my problem, Candace, with the whole thing.
I don't know what to say.
Everything is like you're just asking questions, you're sharing information, you're doing it. But when I actually ask you to be specific about, who do you think did what? That's where it all hits a shuddering halt. You don't know, do you? You don't actually know, anyway.
Of course, if I actually knew who shot Charlie Kirk, I would be instantly publicizing it. I'd say, I figured it out. That's not how an investigation works. Pierce just doesn't work like that, okay? You have to follow the clues until you arrive at a conclusion. Of course, I cannot confidently state that it was, John Smith who shot Charlie Kirk from the left side. I don't know that yet. I don't know that information yet. And when I do know it, I will publicize it without question. I just am pointing out
I don't know why,
the
y'all, but
inconsistencies,
this
the
woman's
lies.
voice is killing me right now. Oh my gosh. You cannot tell me that this woman is not a comedy skit. I'm going to need proof and evidence that we are not watching the warm-up act for Saturday Night Live. This is a rehearsal. There's no way this woman is serious, man. I can't. I don't understand. Now, doggone it. How do we do this, man? Editor Jason is in trouble, man. Editor Jason had to switch hats, man. That's how bad I'm laughing over here. I had to change hats, man. Oh my gosh, this woman can't be serious.
He was not shot with 30-06, and he did not have a Man of Steel neck,
how do you know?
That's completely made up. Well, actually, that's going to be my show today. I do now factually know that Man of Steel thing was made up, and that never came from the surgeon's mouth. So again, we have another lie. We have another lie coming out of Turning Point USA. Put in quotation marks that lie, that it was a direct quote from the surgeon. That was made up. So yeah, I'm going to keep track of all of these lies, deliver them to the public, and allow them to surmise.
It's funny because Pierce said, "How do you know?" But she's talking about, the surgeon didn't say that he had a Man of Steel neck. Which again, man, who cares? What is the grain of the bullet? See, she don't know that. When that bullet comes out and you find out it's some kind of vermin grain, she gonna be looking real ignorant.
I'm going to allow them to think critically while it's still legal. I know it's barely legal in the UK, and it's becoming increasingly less legal here in the United States. So I'm going to use every opportunity to ask every question.
Okay, but pre the meeting with Erica, you repeatedly questioned why we weren't being told where Charlie Kirk is buried, or even if he has been buried yet. Did you get those answers?
You have the wrong commentator who questioned that. I think that was Milo Yiannopoulos.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope. I just communicated to the people that he had a Catholic funeral mass, because people were saying I was lying about him going to a Catholic church, which was another random attack that I had to endure. So I never said that people don't know where Charlie Kirk's buried. That's just the wrong commentator.
Do you know where he's been buried?
I actually genuinely never got to that question with Erica, but I do know where he's. I think the implication that Milo made, again, you'd have to ask him.
Nobody cares about Milo. I need you to explain, did Erica confirm he had a Catholic mass? How about that? Did Erica confirm that? She just says stuff and never challenges. This woman can't be serious. Somebody said, is she serious? No, she's not serious. She's a joke.
That he's not buried. I do know where there is a spot for him to be buried or to be held in a mausoleum. But I never, that's just, you have the wrong person on that.
Erica was emphatic in the CBS thing that she wanted you to stop with the conspiracy.
I think Pierce should push back. You know, I like Pierce. I like these questions because he definitely has Candace rattled. But I think he needs to ask more questions, though. I'm sorry. He needs to ask developmental questions. Did she say he had a Catholic mass? That's it.
Theories, or maybe you've got it all right, and all of this stuff is true, and it's all involving the Israelis and Egypt and Turning Point in a mass conspiracy with this young kid, Tyler Robinson, brought in, and they're all involved in this dramatic murder of Charlie Kirk. Maybe let's just assume for a moment you're 100% right. But she did tell you publicly before you met to stop. What's clear is that you're not going to stop. So is she okay with you now continuing to talk about your theories, or does she still want you to stop?
Well, she didn't ask me to stop. If that's the question that you're asking, is throughout that meeting,
Well, she did publicly, obviously. So your response to that is what?
I'm telling you that then we had a conversation, and I was not.
You know, the cold-heartedness that Candace tries to get into and say, well, she didn't say stop. She said stop lying. The fact is that we still have to explain that to you is pretty telling, because she's gonna want Erica to get on camera and say, I am telling Candace Owens to stop blah 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 blah, and then she'll, well, I'm not doing blah blah blah, I'm doing yada yada yada. This is dumb, and this is a whole grown woman.
Asked throughout that conversation to stop, and to the contrary, I shared information that I had, and I got information from them.
Right.
That helps.
So you will carry on.
Focus.
You will carry on.
Yes.
With the theories.
Yes. Until I feel confident of who killed Charlie Kirk, I will not stop investigating this.
And Erica is okay with you doing that?
I don't know how many other ways to answer your question other than saying she did not ask me or request for me to stop in person. And when we spoke about that moment, she felt that Barry Weiss was being Barry Weiss.
And she made no request of you whatsoever, Erica Kirk, in 4.5 hours?
Request in what sense?
About how she would like you to conduct yourself about the murder of her husband going forward?
No.
Nothing at all?
No, she didn't make a request for me to conduct myself in any way.
And she expressed no concern about any of the
think
theories that you've been putting
I think
out.
she probably knows me through the lens of her husband, so I don't know if that would be a thing that she would have done. But no, she did not. She did not ask me to conduct myself in any way. That seems to just be coming from the media. How
that also tells you that Candace has probably not reached out to Erica at all since Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. This reads like and sounds like the very first time they've ever spoken at all. That's what I'm getting. She's never spoken to her, not even as a friend or as a woman, as an alleged Christian, to reach out to her about this. It doesn't sound like she's ever communicated with her. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know in the chat. But I don't think she's ever communicated with Erica.
Am I right in thinking that your mind has taken you to a place where you genuinely believe that Israel, Egypt, Turning Point employees, and Tyler Robinson, and potentially others, but they were all involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Well, to be fair, I think we're all putting Egypt in parentheses because we kind of don't think that we have exactly a strong Egyptian lobby here in the United States. And there is a lot of historical precedent with Israel kind of using Egyptian planes or using the Egyptian narrative when they want to accomplish things. So, I mean, I just pointed out that this is an Egyptian plane, but Israel, I got tons of questions about. Yeah, I think Israel is a very good place to start when Bibi Netanyahu is just denying and just way too involved in the beginning. That was weird. Everyone felt it was weird, and they were right to feel that it was weird. And when Bibi admits that he called him two weeks before and invited him to Israel, like, what's that about? People are being, and also because it just happens to be that from the very beginning, Zionists don't want us investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination. So it's just.
I'm gonna ask the question one more time. Which one is more plausible? That Charlie Kirk, a rabid Israel fan, I mean, literally his book is called Stop in the Name of God, and it's a look back at the the commandment of keeping the Sabbath. Charlie, Candace, Tucker, Nick Fuentes, fill in the blanks. Which one do you think Israel would see if they could, get rid of one of them? Which one they see as more of an enemy to their position if they were doing all this stuff that Candace proposes? Why would they want to get rid of their fan? I mean, literally his book. I mean, you have to convince us that he was changing his position. Nobody else saw that except you and your, when you twist your head sideways and squint your eyes, you see it. But we see and hear you right now in 4K, Candace. Down bad.
I would say the usual suspects. You are correct that I have and sent information, and it has not been denied by the Élysée Palace, the White House, or the Pentagon, that the French Foreign Legion was on the ground that day. Again, something that I flagged to Turning Point USA.
Hey, real quick. Remember yesterday I told you she will never, ever again mention that there was an assassination hit on her. She's doing it right now. She's not going to mention it again.
Justin Strife, that for whatever reason, the feds don't want this information, which is a bit strange, or don't seem to be interested, or maybe
so we add the French Foreign Legion to the list as well.
Yeah, but the French Foreign Legion is like a bandit of, what I've learned about them now is it's like it's a bunch of different countries. It's not just French people. And yeah, that all sounds about right to me. Is there anything else I can answer?
I think we've probably covered it. It's a lot of people involved in this murder. And my guess, Candace, for what it's worth, is it'll turn out none of that is true. And that it was Tyler Robinson who, for his own politically motivated reasons, hence brandishing the bullet casings with words like anti-fascist slogans and so on, that's why he did it. He believed that he'd been led to believe Charlie Kirk was a fascist, so he had to kill him, which is a different issue about why I feel so strongly that these words shouldn't be bandied about, because in deranged young minds, it can have that effect on them. We see it time and again. But look, if it turns out that you're right, and that Charlie Kirk was murdered by a group of people, including the French Foreign Legion, Egypt, Israel, Turning Point, his own employees, and they were all in on this to murder Charlie Kirk, you will be proven 100% right. And I will be the first to salute your brilliant investigative journalism. But in return, if it turns out you're completely wrong,
never happened,
then I would expect you to come back on Uncensored and admit you were completely wrong. Is that a fair deal?
I was hoping that by the time we did this, I'd be able to do that, because they showed me something that was so compelling. That didn't happen. So yeah, deal is on, as always. Between you and I, the deal is on.
Excellent. I'll add it to the list. Candace, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're both Christians. We have that in common. And it's always good to have you on Uncensored. I'll say this about you. I'll say this to everyone. You come and do these things. You don't duck them. You don't shirk them. You don't hide away. You stand behind what you say. My only question for you, it's not for you, it's about you, is when people say to me, do you think she believes this stuff? I don't know. I don't know if you do or not. I know that Alex Jones didn't.
It's just so fun being the lone person to be attacked every second and every minute of every day, that I was just like, you know what? This is so fun for me. I love it. I love the threats of losing your job and people going after your sponsors and having to worry about your security. It's so fun. It would be so easy. I would be a billionaire. I'd be on the cover of Vogue magazine if I would just say the thing. If I would just be a federal operative and tell people to trans their kids and tell them like Brigitte's like a really beautiful woman, and tell them that Charlie Kirk was shot by one person on a rooftop with impeccable luck who scaled the rooftop like Spider-Man. That's the easier route in life. Unfortunately, spiritually, I can't do it. I'm just my granddad's granddaughter, and he couldn't lie. I can't lie. And I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where a bunch of freaks and pedophiles are in power, which is in the circumstance that we live in today. We cannot live in a world where Jeffrey Epstein is being protected by the government and Charlie Kirk is being publicly assassinated. I can't do it. I won't do it. And let the chips fall where they may.
Candace Owens, always good to have you on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around.
I'm muted again. Oh, and there they go. Here go the mods giving me the work. My mods. Okay, this is it, Jason. Stop putting yourself on mute. You're just going to have to stop laughing, because I just didn't want y'all to hear me laughing. All right. I told y'all she's never going to mention that the alleged assassination attempt. She's never going to do it again. Nope. I believe her lawyers told her, girl, you better stop talking that foolishness because we already trying to figure out how to get you out of this lawsuit, this civil lawsuit, and you over here yelling criminal foolishness. I believe that her lawyers told her to walk that back. And I would not be surprised if she starts editing her videos that are on YouTube about that. I won't be surprised if they disappear. Either the video disappears or that segment gets cut out and just gets memory hold. I will not doubt it because, I mean, she's really, truly never going to mention it. I mean, the dude literally served it up on a platter. She does not mention, by the way, they were trying to delete me because I was speaking the truth. She didn't mention it. She's never going to say it again. So allegedly today, you know, looking at her thumbnail, which just popped up, she's going to be talking about the 30-06. She's going to be talking about the neck of steel discussion, because that's, of course, a big lie, right? Then she's going to talk about, she got Cash Patel on here for some reason. I don't know what Cash done did. Y'all know what did Cash done do now? Anyway, Cash is in trouble. Let's get this thing done. Let's go. Man, y'all blessing, man. Come on. Thank you so much, Fanta, with the 5. The fact they called the lawyer and talk demonstrates they do have more info, but the lawyer said that they cannot give any information not public to Candace. That's right. Lawyer can lie to you. A lawyer can lie to you. Shout out for the 5. MT says this with the 2. She did a live throwing shade at Erica. Emailed. Wait, what? Wait up. Okay, now I got, oh man. Now I can't do that. Shout out to the knitter with the 20. My goodness, thank you so much. The stream sponsor. Listening to her talk is like watching a drug-induced painter paint a masterpiece. See? And you're right. You're right. Candace is crazy as all get out. Candace is a mess. Shout out to the light with the 2. I get joy from family. Candace Owens should try it. I mean, really, like, what does she enjoy? Like, that, she does not seem like somebody that actually has enjoyment in anything outside that's not on the screen. Like, she doesn't have joy outside of her studio, in my observation. Oswald shot JFK. It was very possible that the Russian trained him. If the feds covered it up, is because they did not want to go to war with Russia. Shout out to Phantom. Thank you, man, with the 5. But even that, again, JFK's assassination, MLK's assassination. Let's go Malcolm X too. Get those all out of off the discussion and just talk about Charlie Kirk. Stop bringing in all these other ones. Shout out to Brandy. Thank you so much with the 10. Just like a leftist, when you're losing an argument, just keep interrupting. That's what Candace does. But Candace has been doing this a lot. And the more you look at it, you're like, well, she's always been doing this. That's how she gets down. Shout out to MT again with the 2. What about the haunted notebooks, Candace? That's a good question. See, that's why I think her audience is really going to start turning on her. They have been turning on her because she didn't address a lot of this stuff. Thank you so much, Claire, with the $2 Australian. She didn't care about the abuse of Mikey. Nope. She don't care about it. No. What abuse? Thank you so much, Irene, with the 10. You are the abuser, Candace, playing with people's emotions, gaslighting, lying, confusing the public, trying to instill fear too, giving people to run around for clicks and views. I'm right there. Thank you so much for the 10. And you right on the money. What do we have here? Sammy says this. I bet Candy was told if she defames anyone at TPUSA, they'd sue her to the rapture. Her girlfriend is backtracking faster than Quantum Leap. LOL. You know what? That is, I do believe that there were some offers made that she cannot deny. That's what I do believe. So whether it be like a true cease and desist, I don't think it's a true cease and desist, but I do think that, we are considering suing you. So you can go on out there and do whatever you're going to do. Just know that we plan and we have intention of suing you for defamation. I do think that's what happened. Shout out to the amazing Mikey McCoy. Candace cooked that dude. Really? You think so? Mikey, come on now, Mike. Piers Morgan thought the genocide was okay. Okay, Mikey. Get it together, my friend. Get it together. You calling me out? But Israel. Thank you, MT. I appreciate it. And then what you say here? Oh, you got to hit it twice. Oh, you calling me out? But I'm a woman. I'm a mother and a woman. You wild. Shout out. Thank you so much. Dame Piggy with the 5. Candace wants to know where Charlie is buried so that she can make money standing on his grave, literally, not just figuratively. That is so diabolical. And again, like Pierce, why didn't you ask more questions about that? Like, okay, you said that he had a Catholic mass. Where's your evidence? Prove it. Like, that's what I think needs to happen. A big prove it. Like, just prove it. TPUSA fumbled by not doing this themselves. Now that I agree. Thank you so much, MT, by the way. And again, Claire with the 5 Australian. Candace looks like she is panicking to me. What do you think, Jason? Oh, no question about it. This video that we're about to watch, she, even looking at the thumbnail, she looks like she's trying to hold frame. And I don't think she's going to be able to hold it. And let me tell you why. Because Candace lives by those comments. Her tip line, her comments, her live chat. If they are like they were yesterday, there's gonna be some fireworks. That's all I'm gonna say. If they're like yesterday, it's fireworks. Thank you so much. How much speed did she do before this? I'm gonna say this. Thank you for the $2. I'm pretty sure it was more than $2 worth of speed. That I can agree with. What's Dizzy say here with the 5? We are finally seeing Candace terrified. Proof that there is not a hit on her life. There we go. I mean, literally, she was laughing and joking about the hit on her life. She's never going to mention it again, though. Hey, thank you so much, Alex, with the 1790. No such thing as Egyptian planes. Only American F-16s and Egyptian buys. Where are those planes serviced? Ogden Logistics, Utah. Great job, Nancy Drew. See, the thing is, I don't know if she's talking about, because she's moved between like military planes and Egyptian owned planes like Gulfstreams and private jets. So she's moved between it, but the argument is still dumb. And I think Pierce should have pushed back on that. Like, that doesn't even make sense. You don't use a plane to just follow somebody just because. That's dumb. You can't be buried Catholic if not baptized Catholic. And we've talked about this. Yes, thank you so much. So she's lying. It can't be both. Either he converted or he wasn't buried Catholic. Shout out to Claire. Thank you so much. With the 5, I appreciate you so much. And Phantom says this, always coming through, blessing the stream with the 5. Why would Israel bury a plane from an enemy? Borrow a plane from an enemy when they could easily just get a commercial flight and fly into the U.S. like they did in Dubai. This is just dumb. Right. These are the questions that need to be pushed back on Candace. Shout out to Cantifa, by the way. Shout out to Cantifa in the chat. Thank you so much, MT. I thought they had Mossad agents in America. Remember the 17 or was it 12, 13 cell phones that were on campus? Whatever happened to those? Thank you so much, Alex. Jews ended Charlie for dishonoring the Sabbath. Wait, hold on. He wrote a book about honoring the Sabbath. Thank you, Captain Jax with the 2. We love your laugh. Best part of the show. Well, thank y'all so much. I'm sorry. That thing was killing me. I'm like, you got to be joking me. Why is she like this? You're super, Jason. Making us laugh. Thank you so much, Holly, with the 5. That thing right there, watching her squirm, I'm probably going to go back after this stream, and I might just sit back and just watch that thing again just for the laughs and just for the giggles, because that thing was crazy. Avengers Assemble says this, that was horrible. Candace shaming herself in 4K, paranoid, sarcastic, arrogant, and turning on her friends who scrutinize her. I mean, really, can you imagine like her being your like actual friend? Can you imagine that? All right, I'm going to bring this in. They're ready, so as soon as she goes live, we'll be ready. Shout out. And Curtis coming in. What does Curtis say? She wasn't lying that the surgeon never said Man of Steel. He said that the surgeon said dense bones and solid, healthy body. Absolutely. See, she's added things to it, and because of the things that she's added, that's where her pushback comes back. Thank you so much, Curtis. I appreciate you, man. You are now the stream sponsor. I'll change that in a second. Thank you so much, Miss V with the 2. She made it seem like Erica co-signed all this. Why? Bingo. That's my problem. Shout out. And then right here, thank you, Melitra, with the 5. He should have brought up Ray Nichols. She's a digital, wait, she's going live. Let's bring it in. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
I am telling you, get ready. We have an explosive episode today. Actually, I should say it's a non-explosive episode, and you'll see why. We're going to jump right into this because after yesterday's episode, we were contacted by a variety of people with information. And it's time to state unequivocally that the steel neck quotation did not come from the surgeon. Okay, not only that, but it's odd that federal agents were, I would say, too involved at the hospital. When I tell you this story, your jaw is going to hit the floor. We also have never before seen photos of the vehicle. I know I sound like a Fed here, that Charlie was transported in to the hospital when they were trying to save his life. I'm telling you, my perspective is that all of these leads are ramping up. The reason for that is because the general public is actually not receptive to what is very clearly a military-grade psychological operation, complete with influencers and botted activity on social media. We're so let down, it's over. I'm never watching this show ever again. Candace took money. The people can see what
She's
you're
mad.
doing, feds. They can see it. I can see it. And now we're gonna, gotta go max today. Welcome back to Candace.
Quick. Y'all, I'm going to tell you right now, I need you all to flood the chat. I need you to put MT in the chat. Please do this for me. Just put MT in the chat. Just put the words MT, the letters MT in the chat. Y'all, MT is out of control. I don't know what's wrong with this person. I really, truly do not understand what's wrong with you. MT has found the Egyptian plains. MT has found the Egyptian plains. And y'all know how this is going to go, don't you? You all know. Why are you like this? Why? Why? What is wrong with you? Y'all pray for MT. Y'all just stretch your hand toward MT and just ask the Lord to do something in MT's life. Why are you like this? Do we need to talk? Should we have a moment to just discuss some stuff? Why are you like this? Let's bring this back. You are wild. You are absolutely out of control. Look, and Candace is upset about this. Candace is not happy about what you're doing.
What I said on my Instagram stories, if you're not following me over on Instagram, is very true. I actually have never played chess, but I think I'm a good player. I think I'm a good chess player in life. So I've kept a lot of cards close to my chest, and truly it is because I have understood throughout this entire process that we need to separate the wheat from the chaff. Of course, not every single person is bad at Turning Point USA. We don't have every single person that's bad that works for the FBI or the NSA. There are good guys everywhere, and there are bad people everywhere. So when somebody's telling you everyone's good or everybody's bad, you should not believe that. Well, get ready, guys. Buckle up. Where do we begin? This is what I would say is clearly a federal disaster. We might even have to bring in FEMA. That's how much of a disaster this is and how much it is going to be for Kash Patel when we get through with this episode, because federal prints are all over the Charlie Kirk assassination story, okay? There's no way to deny it at this point. Nothing they are saying makes sense. They've told us lies, misrepresentations, and I think they are the ones who are attacking people who are reasonably concluding that nothing makes sense. Okay, our intuition is telling us that something bigger is at play, and we're gonna keep following that intuition and mocking us for saying that we had dreams that Charlie was betrayed, or rather mocking me. When many people actually had dreams and they email me them all the time. It's just not gonna work. You are going to come apart.
So, like I said, Candace invites her audience into her paranoia, into her mania so much that when she's supposed to switch between the singular and the plural, she gets fumbled up all the time. So she does it a lot. If you pay attention, she does it a lot where we do this, but it's really you. Or I do this and it's really everybody. So anyway, that was it.
When I deliver these new facts to you. So yesterday, I revealed to you that I was told that Andrew Colvett was allegedly flying blind when he tweeted out the conversation that he had with the surgeon. Now, just to jog your memory, how that all came about was me doing the show and saying, oh, I saw the back footage and there was no blood. And then very quickly, which I didn't really understand why he had done this, he tweeted out that long tweet about Superman neck, and he puts this quotation in here, quote, that the surgeon said, quote, absolutely, it should have gone through. Sorry, go back to the last one. Absolutely, the bullet should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc. Next up, that quotation continues. It was an absolute miracle that someone else did not get killed. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the Man of Steel. It
Okay,
should have
there's the Man
just
of
gone
Steel.
through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. And that seems strange for a lot of reasons. First off, HIPAA compliance. Why would he speak to Andrew Colvett? Also, did Andrew Colvett record it? It's a pretty long quotation. Why is it in quotations? Do you remember that verbatim? And I can tell you that it's kind of been a mess since. This is kind of the beginning of everything, right? If we're being honest, that one...
She knows that this is just a giant nothing burger. She's literally doing this for the shot clock. She's watching. She's going to probably have a really long commercial break today, and she's doing this for the shot clock. This is just to get that full hour of a show. I'm just telling you right now.
Solitary tweet was the beginning of the, what I would call, federal mask slip. It feels like they have been feeding us slop ever since. Well, I now feel comfortable revealing some more information for you, some that I have held on to, but which the people who gave this to me are now insisting that I reveal. Simply put, and I'm going to say allegedly here only because I did not speak directly to Dr. Lee Trotter, but I very much have verified and trust this source. Simply put, never once did Dr. Lee Trotter say that Charlie's neck was stopped. Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet. It's actually hugely embarrassing for any surgeon to have said something like that. It's hugely embarrassing also because we're being told that, he's violating HIPAA to get this information out there in this very high...
He didn't violate HIPAA to tell you that, though? To tell you that he didn't say it? So if you're saying that Andrew Colvett made it up and he quote unquote violated HIPAA, but you talked to the actual surgeon and he said he didn't say that, is that not violating HIPAA? Y'all, please stop.
High stress situation. You're actually accusing him of being not a professional on top of also kind of being an idiot. And you can imagine that that's put a lot of undue stress on the surgeon's family, as many of them have been wrongly implicated in a cover-up. Like the absurdity of such a narrative.
This
if you're
is
going to put
wild.
something out there, there's going to be flack that comes upon the surgeon, the other doctors, the nurses. Are you involved? Did you try to get Charlie Kirk killed? Were you involved in staging this? Why would you say that he ate healthy, right? And there's no doctor or surgeon that would say something like that. So to restate that, the quotation that Andrew Colvett shared on his X feed is not a direct quotation from the surgeon, like at all. Rather, what I was told is that what the surgeon communicated very clearly to Andrew, and yes, it is absolutely true that the surgeon, Dr. Lee Trotter, hunts, so he does have experience with bullets. What he communicated is that it was likely a frangible bullet that was used. Now, for those of you who don't hunt, maybe don't shoot, and you're not familiar with that term, frangible, like what's a frangible bullet? That refers to a specialized ammunition that is designed to disintegrate into powder upon impact with a hard surface. So it essentially...
So that means, Candace, I told y'all the grain of bullet was going to be a problem. So that means that the bullet shot from a 30-06 could dissipate in the body of a human and not go out through it. Shout out to Paramount Tactical, has taught me quite a bit. Shout out to the other ballistics geniuses out here on YouTube who've taught me quite a bit. This is crazy work.
Reduces the risk of a ricochet. Instead, the bullet fragments, makes it safer for close range training. It's not like the traditional bullets that
the fact that she's really debunking her own argument in 4K, that's actually pretty impressive. I'm actually impressed with the fact that she's dissecting her own argument, because somebody on Twitter, shout out to Twitter, is going to take what she has said before about about bullets and compare it to this, shout out to Milk Bar and others like that. This is going to be some must-see TV.
Mass. Now, key part there is it eliminates the risk of ricocheting. Well, Andrew also told us that the bullet did ricochet. So what we have here is a conflict of statements. We are told that Andrew Colvett was flying blind, put up this tweet, said that the bullet ricocheted downward into his stomach, whatever.
But
and I am
hold
telling you
on.
that on the other side of this, we have people.
I'm sure if we got, I might have to reach out to him. I might reach out to Gary real quick. No matter of fact, Gary tonight at 9:00 is going over this. He's going to go over this video. I'm going to make sure. Hold on. Just to say something, Ricochet, what if he said he bounced? What if he said it veered off? Would those be bad things too? Do they all not mean the same thing though? Somebody just said it. Somebody just said it's semantics. I mean, I don't see it, but I just saw somebody who said it's semantics. There we go. Oh no, semantics. I'm like, come on. But again, looking at her face, she knows she's cooked. She smells it. She hears the dinner bell ringing. Like, oh man, I'm on the plate. I'm the one getting cooked. I'm cooking myself.
The surgeon who say he said no such thing, and rather he said that it was likely a frangible bullet. What are we to make of that discrepancy?
Nothing.
Yo no say, Padres. But I'm going to move on because there's something else that is compelling. And
wait, no. Let's talk about that frangible bullet because that's a whole different game. What Andrew Colvett said is not really the biggest issue. The fact is that, ma'am, you just said it was a frangible bullet. That's a whole different game because now everybody on the ballistic side of YouTube is already doing their research, posting their clips about what a frangible bullet is versus anything else. This is going to be fun. Y'all, shout out to Cantifa. I know y'all are worried about your Lord and Savior, Candace, but let me just let you know, she's a false god. Leave her alone. Drop off your membership card to Cantifa in the receptacle in the back of church. Come on back up in here and join us and stop acting retarded.
Something that was unusual that allegedly transpired at the hospital. Now, I want to be clear that not only have I now heard this from somebody that was in the hospital, but another source unrelated to that source told me this a while ago, and I couldn't confirm it. They said a call was placed to a DC at the hospital, and this had something to do with Charlie's body. Now, because this seemed to me to be random and there was no clear way that I could verify that it took place, I kind of keep a separate box for like follow-up on that. Could be interesting later. Well, now it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a separate person is telling me that there is one thing very unusual that occurred on that day. Allegedly, Charlie gets transported to, I know I keep saying this wrong, Timpanogos Hospital. He's raced into surgery. That is confirmed. All of that is true. The conspiracies around that can be shut down. He was raced into surgery. He did still have a pulse. And when it was determined that his life could not be saved, and after his next of kin, obviously Erica, was informed, so Erica's not in the hospital, to make that clear, something strange happened. The surgeon wanted to do what he always does, right? He wanted to clean Charlie up before his wife got to the hospital. Except he was blocked by federal officers who were already at the hospital. They stopped him from being allowed to return to the operating room. This allegedly got him pretty fired up. It's never happened before. It's inappropriate. It sounds inappropriate for federal officers to say, I know you just came out of there from trying to save his life, but you're not allowed to go back into the operating room. I'm on orders. No one's allowed to access this body.
Real quick, in the chat, real quick, if you believe this story, could you please put a 1 in the chat? If you believe this, could you please put a 1 in the chat? And of course, if you find that this story is found lacking, could you please put some green hearts in the chat? Could you please? I just want to know if you believe that this story happened, that they locked him and blocked him and such of that nature. Let's go.
And this doctor's pretty connected. Been around a long time, has a lot of contacts, and is like, this is ridiculous. I'm going back in there. I want to make him presentable for his wife to get here, yada, yada. I'm paraphrasing here. You can imagine this scene. And so he doesn't take no for an answer, and he places a phone call. I am assuming, now this person did not say it was a phone call to DC, but said it was likely a phone call to someone political and somebody who was very high up, who then ordered the feds to stand down and to allow him to do what he had always done, which is to make sure that Charlie looked good enough for his wife to see him. Kind of weird. Weird because we are in manhunt hours. We're talking 2.5 hours, maybe up to 3 hours after Charlie got shot.
This is weird.
And the feds are not just at the hospital trying to take cameras down from inside the hospital, as we learned they seized the cameras on that day, but they're also blocking the surgeon's access to an operating room. Shouldn't you be outside racing?
At some point, Cantifa's going to have to stop taking, trust me, bro, journalism and actually ask for proof and evidence of this. Like, where is the proof? Where is that? Like, just because you don't know how something works, because Candace has Dunning-Kruger effect, like crazy work. She has Dunning-Kruger effect crazy. Just because you don't know how it works doesn't mean that it's wrong. Just because I don't understand how something operates doesn't mean that it's wrong. It might be strange to me, but the people that are running the ship probably know exactly everything that's going on. This is crazy, y'all.
To find who the killer is? Like, what are you? What are we doing here?
I don't know.
What are we actually doing here? There's a process. What is your? Why do you need to guard this body from the surgeon who tried to save his life? That doesn't make any sense. But there's more. Okay, honestly, I think what I'm going to tell you more is like I said, should not say explosive. I should say it's not explosive. Before you can catch your breath on the information I've just given you, I'd also like you to hear the very super interesting story of how which I will now refer to as the non-smoking gun, was actually discovered. I love the details. You know, I love details. I'm a detail-oriented person.
Oh, but
and
you're
these
not.
ones are fun and curious, okay? So the story goes, you remember the story goes that the police officers found the gun in a wooded area. Now, immediately, we had people students telling us that even that description is faux. Wooded area, no, that's actually not the right topography surrounding UVU. Well, interestingly enough, the exact place where the gun was found, which is described more like a median between two roads. I think I showed you that footage of where they found that gun, certainly not in the woods. There's some trees and there are some bushes. Well, interestingly enough,
Yo, shout out real quick. That's what I'm saying. Like, the stuff she says doesn't even make sense. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, they going around literally taking down the cameras that are physically in there? Because otherwise it would be somewhere where the camera nest is, getting the footage. They don't need to take down the cameras. But see, that's what I'm saying. She doesn't understand it. And she just says this stuff, and Cantifa's not going to push back.
Or that gun was found, that area had already been searched, not just by veteran police officers who told me that the way they do this is they sort of lock arms, and then they kind of go, you've kind of seen this in some shows, maybe that's what they did. They came up, they didn't have anything. Then they said, okay, we're only human. Let's release the bomb dogs in that exact area where ultimately the gun is going to later be discovered. The bomb dogs didn't turn up with anything. And here is why that fact alone is remarkably suspicious, according to the police officers that were involved. And I'm fascinated by this now. I love fun facts about animals. Obviously, we all know that dogs have incredible scent, right? Their sense of smell is like literally up to 100,000 times more than a human scent. Now, in case you didn't know, and I did not know this, over $19 billion has been spent on research and development of technology that can detect explosives. Okay.
I can't. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna take a. We're gonna clean the palate. I'm sorry. I just thought about something, and shout out to Captain Jax. There you go, right there. Shout out to Captain Jax. Sent me a message. Think about it. Why would they not want the body to be cleaned or whatever like that? What had not actually happened yet? Well, it's because they haven't done any research on just because a surgeon tried to save their life, that doesn't mean they know how the person died. So there's still going to be more. So there's a real possibility why they did not want the body touched or quote unquote cleaned up, because they still haven't done any work on the actual forensics to find out how this actually happened and why this person is no longer alive. Candace is bona fide ridiculous. And I think it's very adorable that she told Piers Morgan that her show is all about treating her audience like they have sense, while she is in 4K treating them like complete and total lunatics. Okay, I'm back.
For $19 billion. And yet, no man-created technology comes close to conquering the scent of a dog. Essentially, what I'm saying to you is that dogs are the highest grade available technology that we have when it comes to detecting explosives. And bomb dogs are specifically trained to detect explosive like gunpowders. That's why they have these animals at police departments. Even an untrained dog, like even just your dog, you know, and like you're walking a dog and he's got like a scent and you're like, what's going on? And nobody smells. They can pick up a scent of a fired weapon days after it was triggered.
Y'all, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. On behalf of the Jay Witt podcast, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. This woman sounds like a pure lunatic. So your little chihuahua, your little mastiff, whatever your dog is out there searching bombs. Yo, I can't. I just can't, man. I'm sorry to everybody, all the new people that just jumped in. We got 2,000 people watching. At one point, we had 2,500. Shout out to all of y'all, man. Please do me a favor. Don't hold this against me. Candace is killing me today. She is literally assaulting and battering my internals, y'all. This woman is crazy, man. I apologize on behalf of the Jay Witt podcast because all I'm going to do is just laugh at this woman. There's no way this could be serious. Let's go.
Their nose will still pick up that scent. A bomb dog, they can smell it up to a week, right? Maybe even more because they're specifically training. And during this training process, I'm reading they'll cover something in chemicals. They'll train them. So like after it rains, obviously they're just training their scent to get stronger and stronger and stronger. After a week, after an explosive goes off or a weapon is fired, they will tell you, here it is. They'll be able to find that weapon. I'm telling you this so that you can comprehend that if you're sending out bomb dogs to find a weapon that was just recently fired like an hour ago, that's not even fun for them. That's not even interesting. That's ridiculous. You're basically saying to that dog, 1 + 1 = what? It's too easy. This is what they did. They sent these bomb dogs out. They go over to the area and they find nothing. The highest grade technology that we have finds nothing. These dogs belong to the sheriff's department in Pleasant Grove, by the way. You should know that. So seasoned officers, plus
what are we talking about?
The dogs crawled the area and came.
Who let the dogs out?
Until, fast forward, so many miracles in this story. Fast forward to when the feds arrive after the dogs fail to the corner with you dogs, and the feds are here. The federal officers are going around and asking officers weird questions like, oh, how long have you been on the police force? And what happens then is that federal officers direct 3 police officers who I'm told between the 3 of these officers, they had less than a year and a half on the force, okay? Like these officers are pretty spanking brand new, just like everything else in the story. And the federal officers specifically direct them, check again over yonder, check again yonder, right over there, because I just don't trust that super high-grade technology of a dog's nose that we have. And you, sir, you 3, go and see if there could be something over there. We can't trust those 100,000 times stronger noses. You're human. Take on the task. And guys, you're not going to believe me. The nose that's trained to pick up gunpowder, explosive, combustible material, they get an F. But lo and behold, these police officers, bam, there it is, the gun. We've got the weapon. Woo! There's no cheating here. We nailed it. We might as well get rid of these dogs, right? It's completely useless to have these dogs around.
Let the dogs out.
I have the names of the officers who were involved in that discovery. I do not intend on releasing those names at this moment.
I honestly don't even know what to do with this. Okay, fine. The dogs didn't find it. So what is she doing? What is she trying to create? She's trying to create this narrative that the feds hid the gun and said, oh, look, it's over there, and found it. Oh, look what I found. That's what she's trying to do. The dogs didn't find it, but the feds found it because the feds brought it because it wasn't real. The feds planted the evidence. That's what she wants you to believe. Okay. And remember, this is an active trial, an active investigation and trial. So Tyler Robinson's defense team is not watching Candace Owens. They're not engaged in this and taking notes of this stuff that she is saying and the way that she's framing it. And they're not paying attention to that at all. Just something to keep in mind.
Moment in time, because I'd like to try to reach out to them in earnest, and also because I also need to research them, because I'm like this and I need to know.
They're in the military.
Great grandparents. I need to know everything about these officers.
She said they need to know their great grandparents. But if we did
That's
that to you, Candace, you'd be upset.
The only dog in the story. Then there's Freya. Freya is a canine dog, and I am told that.
Okay, wait. Isn't canine a dog? Why do you have to say a canine dog? Is there K8? Is there a 6'7" dog? Like what? I'm trying to hold it together, y'all. I really am trying to be better. Isn't that the same thing as a dog? I'm not a dog person. Is there a 6'7" dog? It's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Maybe she meant canine unit. Okay. All right. Wait, hold on. All dogs are canine. Somebody said canine unit. Okay, maybe that's it. All right. Thank you, Chad. Because I'm like, come on, Candace, stop making it so easy.
And please correct me. Okay, actually please don't send me a million emails if this little factoid I get wrong, but my understanding is that the canines are different from the bomb dogs, and the canines are trained for like drugs and like can like smell a person. Okay, whatever.
Dang,
Freya,
find out before you say anything. Just find out. Just learn before you, there's no rush for you to come out and put out information and be wrong and make a fool of yourself. Like there's no reason. Why don't you just take the time and say, okay, are bomb dogs the same as drug dogs? And are both of those the same as your little, your Chihuahua? Are they all canines? Yes. Okay. But bomb dogs are considered bomb. Canine are considered drug or canine unit. That would be simple. Why not do that, Candace? Why are you rushing to get out here and put out information and you're wrong, or at least stumbling through it?
Canine, okay? And she is specifically the canine that sniffed out the route to the rooftop where Tyler Robinson, the Losey Center rooftop, where he allegedly took the shot. Now, in case when I tell you that, you're reasonably concluding that this means that they took the gun that the officers found, they gave it to Freya, and Freya smelled the weapon.
No,
and
doesn't
then
have to be that.
Said, "Here we go," and led them back to the rooftop. I want you to know that you'd be wrong, because everything in the story has to be exceptional. Everything in this story has to be different and special.
No, you
and
keep
unique.
doing that. No, and the problem is she just revealed again that she's not being honest. She just said that the dog led them to where the shooter was. So remember, y'all know what she's been saying, that you got to climb up the building like Spider-Man. But if the dog followed Tyler Robinson's scent from wherever to wherever, and they followed it up the stairs, then man, why do you keep saying the Spider-Man thing? Because we clearly know that that's not true. But she keeps doing it. And again, Cantifa, she wants y'all to look like fools. Candace is an IQ test.
Actually, they didn't give Freya any object, but rather conducted something that was described to me as a condensed scent trace. So it's different. Freya, I'm told by police officers, essentially traced the scent from the bottom of the building where we saw a person jump off, right? And back to the top of the building.
Y'all see that?
Freya was able to conclude it's effectively like a target odor trace that the person who jumped here came from up here. I want to be clear. I am hearing this from multiple officers who were involved with the hunt, who have reached out since the very beginning and said everything was weird, everything was wrong. We feel like we were effectively being sent on like wild goose hunts, like a wild goose hunt by the feds, and the feds were sort of directing the show. That's a lot of information I just gave you. We're not even warmed up because there is one more thing that I would like to share with you before we take a brief break. Now, this is something that I cannot confirm with, I guess, the usual certainty that I have, but it feels important for me to state it because I hope that because 1 and 2 officers have been courageous, and I'm hearing the rumors, but I want to confirm. I'm hoping that somebody will stand up. Maybe the very officer that was involved in this will stand up and contact me. But I had received a tip a while ago from a few police officers, a tip that I would like to confirm, but I think it should be put out into the open. After we broke the story of the rentals, of the Toyota rentals, I gave you guys the exact description. I also gave you the plates, but that could also be not relevant because if we're dealing with feds, they change the plates, obviously.
Well, the plates were never relevant. Again, this is info bombing. We've jumped from the gun, bullet fragments, hospital, taking down cameras, bomb sniffing dogs, canine dogs. Now she just keeps doing this. And this is probably the 13th piece of information that she's shared since we've been here. But let's let her go. Let's go, Jason.
Anyways, there were some good guys in the police department who
Wow.
had recalled.
Good
and I did
guys, it's
confirm, I'm
crazy.
speaking with people at the police at the police department at the very least, who recalled something odd that happened on that day involving a white Toyota RAV4. The story goes, obviously, everybody's eyes are peeled, looking for anything unusual, looking for the suspect on this manhunt. And there's an officer who catches a speeding car shortly after the shot is fired. And this officer is convinced that this is the killer. Like this, I'm going to be in hot pursuit of this killer. The officer pulls over the Toyota RAV4, and when the officer gets to the window, the driver of the RAV4 flashes an FBI badge. I am telling you the exact truth of it, what was communicated to me, and I would like to confirm the story because it's pretty explosive if that is true. If Toyota RAV4 was pulled over, how do we get that? Do we have to FOIA? I don't know. And that's why I'm putting it out there because there may be a way to even get around. I'm assuming that officer would have had to have a camera on him. Did a federal officer get pulled over driving a Toyota RAV4?
Wow.
Again, this would have been shortly after the shot went off. So we're probably looking within an hour. Maybe let's widen it and say within 2 hours, a Toyota RAV4, a white Toyota RAV4 was pulled over and a federal badge was flashed, letting that officer know that he or she was outranked. So
White cars matter, y'all. White cars matter. Why is it? Come on. Y'all, I'm telling you, man, Candace is making a fool of y'all. If y'all are somebody that is calling these people and trying to do this research for her, she's making a fool out of you. A pure, unadulterated 4K fool. This is some weapon grade ignorance on display right here. So there's no other, again, she has no proof of this. She's literally just told y'all this. That's all she's done is just talked this whole time. Nothing on the screen. I'm sorry. She did put Andrew Colvett's tweets on the screen, but that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else of value.
there's that. And we still have more. So somehow this is just, look, it's the last week before break. We got to get it all out there.
I bet you do.
Behaving, the craziness of how I'm being attacked is letting me know that we are dead close to something, and we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna take a brief break here to throw to some of our sponsors.
Wow.
All right, you guys, when they double down on abortion, we know that we have to double down on supporting.
We got to double down on you being completely ridiculous. That's what we doubling down on. Wow, y'all. That's some crazy work. Shout out to the best live channel on the internet. Look, we got to clean the palette, man. We got to clean the palette with some great content. She made it seem like Erica co-signed all this. Why? Thank you so much, Miss V. I don't know. Thank you for the $2 for sure. Melissa, he should have brought up Ray Nichols. She's a digital age Charles Manson, in my opinion. Thank you so much for the 5. And you're right on the money, man. This woman she's problematic, super problematic. MT says this with the 2. Check your email and find the planes. You so wild. Shout out. Carly says this with the 10. Candace has 6th grade reading level. Of course, she would think that Egyptian planes can keep track of someone. There are much easier ways to keep tabs on someone. This woman is an idiot. That's my point. You don't just get in a plane and say, hey, follow that other plane. You can't do that. This is his wild work. Shout out. Thank you so much for the 10, for sure. And what do you have here, Alex, coming through again with that 1790? The Gulf War Syndrome support groups have been contacting Candace again. So we know we're in for nothing but logic, facts, and truth and reason. Shout out for sure. I see what you did there. Well done. Slayer Princess with the 5. Every comment under yesterday's Candace podcast was like, I've had enough of this. They can't all be bots, Candy. This may be the start of her downfall after all. I agree. I've heard a lot, and I did a video even about some of the comments and how she's been pushing back on them. Did anyone take screenshot of how many followers she had before and after yesterday's show? I wonder if there's a drop. Social Blade, thank you so much for the $5, and I'll answer that question. It takes a couple of days for a major drop to process, but and I'll look real quick, but if it doesn't show today and it shows tomorrow, it'll show up for yesterday's show. So great call out. I'll look in a moment. Thank you so much, JD Wealthy right here with the 5. Is this her way to walk it back so she doesn't get sued? I've been holding on to this. Absolutely. But y'all, I just text Gary about the whole fragmented bullet. Oh, they're going to have a field day with that. Thank you so much, Craftman, with the 5. Wait, did she say that she's been sitting on this for a while? So she's been sitting on it for a while saying different? Is that a grift? I like how you did that. Well played. Thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate you, friend. What do we have here? Brandy says this with the 2. ATP. And the tips are just to see what makes it on. Look, at this point, I agree. I'll tell you a story real quick. When we were in college here in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, there was a thing called the Vent. And this is well before the advent of the internet. You could call in and just rant. And if they liked what the rant was, they would print it in the newspaper. And it was called the Vent. And me and a friend of mine used to, every day we get home from school, and we would just call on the Vent. This is how much entertainment we had, right? We'd get the newspaper and see if either of us had made it onto the Vent. And then we would just do that. We just call and rant and just say, I can't stand Atlanta traffic. It's crazy on 85, 75. They need to build we need airplanes or whatever, just something crazy like that, just to see if we would get in the Vent. I think that's what's happening on her tip line. I really believe it. I don't think these people really believe what they're saying. I think they're just trying to get on the show. And the more on the show, the more obnoxious and crazy it gets, the more likely they are. As an OR nurse, I call BS on what she said about the surgeon being blocked from the OR. The cavalry would have come. Shout out. Thank you so much. And thank you for what you do as a nurse. Thank you so much for the 5. I don't understand how she's getting away with this, y'all, but let's bring her back in. Here she goes. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. Let's go.
For our minds, these are psychological wars that they impart upon the people, and I have never seen one more extreme than this Charlie Kirk cover-up that the feds are engaged in. Speaking of which, I've heard the rumors, obviously, that Dan Bongino, which it looks like Trump has just confirmed, is going to leave the FBI. As assistant director of the FBI, he will be stepping down. Trump said that he thinks that Dan wants to get back to his show. I think Dan has probably realized how far-reaching this corruption goes. I have been wondering why Dan has been silent, I would say effectively silent, on the Charlie Kirk situation. He has not been a part of the people that have been feeding us trash. And maybe his silence is actually some dignity. Like saying, I'm not going to take part in this. And he's doing maybe what Marjorie Taylor Greene did and said, this is hopelessly broken. And I feel like I'm betraying the American people, and he's going to leave. And maybe he feels like he can fight better from behind the mic. And I certainly am feeling like we are doing a lot here just by investigating this truly. And when I say we, I genuinely mean you guys back at home, because I feel like we're all kind of waking up to just how much the military controls how botted comment sections can be. I click on this person and they just created an account. That's a war on your mind. Okay. That's a war on your mind. So sticking with this theme of federal corruption that transpired on that day, a major question, and I need to do more research on this, that in terms of like who was driving and what everybody said on the day. But what happened to the car that Charlie was driven into the hospital while he was still alive? Or better yet, what do you think should have happened to that car, or what is required to happen to a car after someone is assassinated in a car, or like is bleeding in a car and there's evidence? I would have assumed that the feds impounded the vehicle. Do we agree? That seems like every show that you watch. I used to watch 48 Hours. You got to impound the vehicle so that you can then collect more evidence. Well, the only indication of what we have learned from people that were actually in that vehicle on that day came from Frank Turek. And he does discuss with Megyn Kelly him getting his bag at the hospital after the FBI cleared the vehicle. I don't want to put words into his mouth. Let's take a listen to what Frank Turek had to say.
They roped off the vehicle that we took out of there as a crime scene. I don't know why. It wasn't part of the crime scene, really. So we couldn't get into the vehicle until the FBI cleared it. And it happened that Charlie, in the back seat below him, between these two bucket seats, was my computer bag. So everything, I couldn't go anywhere. You know, my wallet was in there. I wasn't going anywhere anyway, but I had to go in and get that out. And so when they finally cleared it, I got into the car and I pulled out my bag, and draped over my bag was Charlie's necklace that had a cross and medallions on it. And I had heard they were looking for that. And so cop was like, "Oh, we've been looking for that." I said, "I got it." So I just took it.
Okay. So he's explaining that they did say this is a crime scene. Obviously, there could be evidence in here that we need. That makes sense to me. But they allow him to grab his bag and Charlie's necklace, and he goes away. And I would have assumed that they then impounded the vehicle for further inspection. But that if I had assumed that, I would be wrong. Actually, what happened is immediately after the car was transported to it was towed to a towing facility that's just kind of really around the corner from the hospital. And then from there, on Monday, they had another tow truck come and take that car so that it could get a cleaning and be immediately put up for auction. Now, this is unusual on two ends of this. I'll tell you what those two ends are. The first end is that this was a rental vehicle, right? And even if a crime happens in a rental vehicle, especially a brand new one that is that big, you as the owner of a rental car facility, you have an option to get that car back. You have an option, obviously, to get that car back, to get it cleaned. If you're going to get the whole thing recarpeted, that would be a tremendous loss against the company for you to just, never mind, whatever, sell it. Well, apparently, and I'm saying this allegedly, the owner of the company was in California at the time. He gets a phone call and he's just like, no, never want to see this vehicle ever again.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm over here trying to bring something up for y'all and I'm off task. I apologize. I don't actually at this point think that we're watching. I don't think I feel bad because I feel like we're watching somebody slide into insanity. I do feel like that. All right, here she goes. Let her go. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
SD for the people that work here at the rental facility, just like get rid of it. You could sell it and that's it. It's never coming back here. Maybe that is just kind of the good-natured response. I would assume they weren't going to, haul it in with all of Charlie's blood in it. But the speed at which this vehicle was just given up effectively for auction is unusual, especially because they didn't even require insurance to come, which would make sense. We know how this works. You can't collect, even if you're going to say, hey, whatever, I want to get rid of this vehicle. You're going to want to make sure that you have tons of pictures and evidence, and you got to send the insurance guys. The insurance guys have to talk about how much damage has been done to this vehicle. I don't know who has to pay for it to be fixed before it can be sold. but you're going to have to send insurance. None of that happened, okay? Just like, poof, that's it. The feds saw it. Everything's going down at the hospital. The feds are really at this hospital, and then it's over. I find that to be very strange. I have 6 photos of the inside of that vehicle. We are on the fence about, and I don't know what you guys think in terms of YouTube and showing this, or are we going to put this up on the website?
Hold on. I'm not going to put up any bloody vehicles. I'm sorry. At this point in the game, I feel like Candace is reckless. I'm making a judgment call. I'm sorry. If she's going to show the interior of the SUV that Charlie Kirk was in, I'm not going to play that. I'm sorry, y'all. If you're upset about that, my name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. She is just reckless at this point. She's just doing whatever. And I mean, she's putting people's rental cars in play, soccer teams in play. Look, man, y'all, she done even put the doggone dog, poor Freya, the dog is in trouble now. Now we got justice for canine Freya is defamed by a podcaster. Y'all, I can't do it anymore. Y'all, I can't. I just cannot in good faith support Candace at all. Look, the poor dog is being accused of evil and wickedness. Y'all, I don't know what to do. Justice for Freya. This is just not, we can no longer allow this type of shenanigans to go on. I think we need to stand up. Our voices need to be heard. We need justice for Freya. Justice. Goodness gracious, man. This woman is reckless, y'all. I'm sorry. Candace is reckless. If she's going to show interior pictures, I'm not going to play those. I'm going to be honest with you, though.
When we drop all of the Egyptian plane logs, what do we think, guys? I'm letting you.
You ain't going to never drop those plane logs.
And if we do show this is obviously like very viewer discretion advice. People have watched crime scenes on the news. Should we?
But you don't even know that this is real.
You think we'll show one of them that's not so gory?
I'm sorry, Candace.
Yeah, I think the back row is probably the best. Like, this is just so you guys know that we're not making up that we have these photos. We do. We have these photos, and they
shout out to all my detailers. Shout out to all my detailers who are going to jump in and let me know if that's a real Suburban. Shout out to all the detailers, all my Chevy people, all my GM people that are going to jump in and be like, that is not the right year SUV. What is wrong with this woman?
I think it's important to share these photos with people, which I'm going to do.
No, we don't need to see that.
When I say investigators, I mean like mommy sleuths and investigators on the ground who have been looking into this story and not accepting the Fed slop. I think it's a good thing. I think we can come out of that so you guys can see it's interesting. It is very interesting, and it tells.
Hold on, wait. I might be wrong. Hold on, wait. Those seats are really weird for that to be the back seat of a 4-door vehicle. I might be wrong. Never mind. This is some nasty work. That is right. This is some nasty work. Yo, this woman there's something wrong with this woman. There's something wrong with Candace.
When I say investigators, I mean like mommy sleuths and investigators on the ground who have been looking into the story and not accepting the Fed slop. I think it's a good thing. I think we can come out of that so you guys can see it's interesting. It is very interesting, and it tells, I think, and just more pieces can come together. I think we need to know where everybody was sitting in this car, what everybody said. I know that there have been people that have been doing that work, and I intend to partner with them to just make sure everything makes sense, okay? Now, pivoting, because what I'm really getting at and what I have been clear about from the very beginning, I just think the feds are implicated. I do. I just feel the feds are implicated. Everything they are doing, everything that we are learning, everything that I know tells me that they went there to cover everything up. Including sending U.S. Marshals on a wild goose chase. Everybody who's there that day says the feds were not acting right. They don't actually feel like they wanted to solve the crime, but rather to create hurdles, including Cash saying, we got him. And then it wasn't the person, oh, never mind, we made a mistake, was to stop people from actually discovering who killed Charlie Kirk in those critical hours following the shot. Like they were attempting to disrupt, actually. And I believe that. So, like I said to you guys yesterday, and don't worry, every following 2 days, we're just going to have bombs for you guys. But I really sense there has been this ratcheting up of what I have been telling you all year. There are military bots. These are military grade bots that are online. I saw them after October 7th. I saw these military grade bots when they wanted me canceled from Australia. I just recognize the pattern of what they do. They kind of all say the same thing, and it just is meant to get into your psyche. But we recognized this increase in this botted activity after we started speaking about Fort Huachuca. Talked about Fort Huachuca. We talked about, this guy. He's convinced that he saw Brian Harp.
So real quick, in the chat, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I am. Notice she's talked about guns. She's talked about all of these things, and she's never mentioned that assassination plot on her own life. Just want to put that out there.
And we start talking about the Egyptian planes. All of this is on the same day. We're getting a picture, and that felt really relevant, that he believes he stumbled upon this, all hands on deck final meeting the day before. And initially people thought, man, I think maybe somebody's pulling Candace. And then we were able to verify his story, people that are currently stationed there. Well, I want to now, and this is a longer clip, but I think it's important because we went through trying to point to you guys the fact that there is this weird plane activity going to that base. I want to now play this longer clip of Baron Coleman. He did just a really great video going through and helping people to understand what it means when you see that SAM call sign on a plane that is flying, particularly from Andrews outside of DC. And I'm going to play this longer clip of Baron Coleman and hope he doesn't hit me for stealing his content. Take a listen.
Well, tonight I can confirm that following Candace's show last night, I started some research, and what I found floored me. I don't know who contacted Candace or whether he's credible, but I do know this. If that man or anyone else is running an op on Candace and trying to trap her into a story that doesn't add up, ultimately to destroy her reputation, they planted a key piece of evidence into the story that lends a lot of credibility to what he said. That key piece of evidence is a jet.
The key piece of evidence lends credibility to the story that he wants Candace to buy into because it'll ruin her reputation. Why would there not be good information? Did anybody think that all the information was going to be false? I'm sorry. So that's not the slam dunk you think it is.
That's used exclusively by very few people. And those people are presidential family members, cabinet officials, and military generals at the Pentagon.
Because he wants you to believe it.
And that jet was present at the location of the supposedly high-level meeting the day before Charlie was killed. I was watching Candace Owens this afternoon.
Where's your proof?
She covered the presence of the jet. I'm going to go further with that story, but I'll recap for those who aren't aware of the story, and I'll add considerable detail that she did not report. The flight was a special air mission flight. The United States Air Force Special Air Mission exists to provide safe and secure transport to our country's highest-ranking individuals. Think president, vice president, presidential and vice presidential family members, cabinet members, occasionally congressional delegations. That particular jet was present at the location of this alleged meeting on the morning of September 9th, one day before the neutralization of Charlie Kirk. And that jet had recently flown, for example, President Trump's family back from their summer home in Bedminster, New Jersey. I'll show you that in a minute. That flight was after the Independence Day holiday. So this is an important jet. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what are known SAM call signs, SAM, Special Air Mission Call Signs, because it's going to be important as we work our way through the flight logs of this jet. A Special Air Mission Call Sign is a designation for airlift missions carrying the president, vice president, first lady, cabinet secretaries, or other VIPs designated by the White House. When the president is on board, the radio call sign instantly becomes Air Force One. Mm-hmm. But the telephonic ATC call sign on the flight plans and on radar scopes is filed as SAM number. We'll talk about that in a second. When the vice president is on board, the aircraft becomes Air Force Two. Mm-hmm. But again, the filed call sign is normally SAM number. The same SAM call sign series is used for other cabinet members, like Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and the First Lady when they travel on jets. And sometimes you'll see a rare call sign, very rare call sign. It's SAM 000, Sometimes you'll see a 001 or a 002, but when you see zeros leading the call sign, particularly 000, that call sign is highly sensitive. It's when the White House or the U.S. Air Force want to be deliberately vague about the exact passenger manifest. On August 25th, 2025, this is 15, 16 days before Charlie Kirk was killed, there was a flight on this jet from D.C. to Colorado Springs with that important and rarely used call sign, SAM 000. Whoever flew under this incredibly highly sensitive call sign, SAM 000, on August 25, flew from Joint Base Andrews to Colorado Springs, home of the 10th Special Forces Group. It stayed in Colorado Springs for 3 hours, and then it flew to Las Vegas, arriving there at 4:48 p.m. local time. Las Vegas, you'll recall, is the home of FBI Director Kash Patel.
Okay, so he's just delivering the facts. There's nothing here. There's no innuendo there. Later on, he's trying to just think while it's still legal, I guess. And he's like, well, we don't know where J.D. Vance was on this day. I can confirm I was able to dig through a lot and find J.D. Vance was in D.C. This is not Trump. This is not J.D. Vance. So that allows us to come inward and try to figure out who this Sam, very big Sam, on the special air mission was. Okay, he mentions there Kash Patel. Obviously, we don't have at our fingertips Kash Patel's schedule, but it is intriguing that this flight, as he says, goes into Las Vegas. And we're going to now show you that flight path, bring that up. And I'm going to also tell you why that August 25th date is particularly interesting when I pack it into my neat little timeline. Now, because we are looking at data and time zones, I'm going to bring in Mark explain that August 25th trip and how the call signs change, which is even more fascinating.
Thank you for using the preferred term for this, Mark explaining. So on August 25th, let me make this full screen so everyone can see it better. So on August 25th, it flies into Las Vegas, lands at 4:48 p.m. local time as SAM 000. Then on the following day, the 26th, it leaves Las Vegas as a Reach flight 658, leaving at 3:14 p.m. You see the dash at the end there that shows that the transponder data was missing before it lands in Colorado Springs, which you can see on the map here. Let me scroll back down, and you can see that it lands there at an unknown time because of that data discrepancy. Then it takes off as a SAM 658 flight back to Joint Base Andrews in D.C.
Okay, and so when you see the call sign changing from an RCH to a SAM, is it fair for me to say that this means that this was somebody who was important and then there was somebody who was extremely important who either got on or got off, SAM being that super VIP, which Baron Coleman just explained? Is that a fair description?
I'd say so. The special air mission designation is usually when there's very high ranking or very important people on board. Reach is kind of like there's nobodies on board. I don't want to say nobodies, but someone who doesn't rise to that level. And then the other call sign we've seen is Venus, which is a designator for an empty flight, except for the pilots.
Okay. So going back to that, look, just so you guys can see that, looking at that August 25th date. So we're seeing that the individual flies in to Colorado Springs. Now, why is this date interesting? Well, we're going to pop into the timeline, and I'm going to remind you first and foremost that Brian Harpole, when he sits down with Sean Ryan, tells us that they began preparations for the UVU event. And I'm bringing up Brian Harpole, of course, because our eyewitness told us that he saw Brian Harpole. He's convinced he saw Brian Harpole walking out of this big wig meeting on the 9th. Now, I can't confirm what he saw, but I can look into things that Brian Harpole has said to the public since things have transpired. And he particularly points out this date of August 24th of having been when they prepared for UVU. Take a listen to Brian Harpole in his own words on Sean Ryan.
How many days prior were you guys there?
We generally, the permitting process and all that goes on behind the scenes. And then there's a questionnaires that are filled out that we used to, there was a lot of busy work. And then so, kind of like in the military, what you did, we create forms that, hey, let's get this information up front. Mm-hmm. And so that we have a duplication process so that we can confirm it. And so we started our first, before that one, the 24th of the month prior. And so, and that was with the hard conversations, meetings.
You started that on the 24th?
Mm-hmm. right? And we
That's
do
2 weeks.
at
early.
least. Well, it started before that with the intelligence gathering and all that, but the hard conversation.
That also conflicts with what Candace has been saying about them doing this at the spur of the moment. He's already 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks ahead of time. So that does fly in the face of what Candace has said before. But, who cares about facts? Candace doesn't feel it.
The sharing of information, the conference calls, the data sheets, and we put that in a timeline on an app, so that this all goes up, and every guy that's on that job can see all the intel that comes in. It's a decentralized command model for the company, and so anybody can make command decisions for the betterment of the client or the team, and so everything goes on that app. And so when I get it, they get it. And when whoever's gathering that intel, it gets it. There's no hold, there's no power hold on it. And so that first information came in on the 24th, and then the information share starts.
Now, to be extra clear, I am not suggesting that Brian Harpole, obviously he's not going to be Sam, or is he going to be RCH, but I'm just noting that he is saying that the 24th is when they began this process of intel gathering for the UVU event. It also happens to be the exact date that Operation Valhalla Strike begins between civilians and the military. It happened on August 24th and ended on August 27th. I'm going to show you this now on the timelines that you can see that. So then we have the very next day on the 25th, we have this very important character.
I'm calling an audible. I'm going to stop because you know what? Candace is doing something and I'm getting played by Candace. Sorry. I'm stopping. I'm not rage quitting, but I'm going to stop because she's starting to cause me to not care. And I'm like, whatever. I'm checking out in my own mind. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Whatever you say. But no, that's exactly what she wants us to do, is to not care and to just be like, whatever, and just kind of go to sleep and start playing, games on your phone. No, I'm not going to. No, Candace, you're not tricking me into that. Nope. I'm not going to fall for it. She's adding fillers. Thank you so much for the $2 for sure. No, I'm not going to let her do that to us. Nope. X-Roll with the 5 Canadian. At some point, it is the coroner's case. So do not touch the body. I'm right there with you. 1,000%. You're right on the money. Amy says this with the 2. Really wish he asked her about the trans lone shooters. I do kind of wish Piers asked more questions. He asked some good questions, but he didn't ask enough. Thank you, Avengers, with the 3. Candace's show went to the dogs today. We know who let the dogs out. Heather says this with the 5. I want the list of her sponsors. It's time to send them a message. And Candace Owens' lunacy needs to stop for the sake of the people that she's harming. I'm with you. I agree. Ruben says this with the 2. They found it based on tips from the door camera. What are we talking about? The gun? I want to know what you're talking about, Ruben, specifically. Okay. Call me. She's just asking questions like the serpent and the Eve. Did God really say? I like what you did there. Shout out for sure. Thank you so much for the 5. All right, let's get it back because I want to get done. Let's go. Let's not check out, though.
Who decides to fly over to Colorado Springs, and then that important character flies into Las Vegas. Presumably, he departs off of the plane. He or she, I'm going to go with he here. I don't know why. I feel like that's right. Is going to get off of the plane in Las Vegas, and suddenly that flight is going to be an RCH flight. Okay, so someone less important than our initial Sam. I find that to be very interesting, and I find it to be compelling. And when I said this to Harry and said, is it possible that this could have been like a high-ranking Fed? He said, yeah, it was pretty clear that they were trying to block him, this hence them freaking out, from seeing who was coming out of that meeting. That was the hustle. That's what they were fearful of. He said that there was an undercover Fed, or he said it could have been an undercover Secret Serviceman. He was, like I had this many 06s, lieutenant colonels.
Imagine how weak this international, intergalactic, multiversal assassination plot has to be, that you have to fly people around in known ways using aircrafts and follow people in aircrafts and rent cars from rental agencies and all this kind of stuff that can be tracked just to take out one person who, again, was your ally, who again was your friend. Like, and all of this information is out there floating. You know, the planes, the trains, the automobiles are all out there floating for anybody to find. Imagine how weak this assassination plot. I mean, John Wick and Jason Bourne and all of the spy movies are very disappointed in this. I mean, the Maroon Boys, y'all are not going to get invited to. They're not going to make any movies about y'all. None at all.
Signifies to be that this is like a Pentagon level meeting. Everything he has said is checked out. I am telling you, we have multiple emails from people that are currently stationed there, and they have made it clear to me that, Candace, I know you don't know anything about the military, but you should know, particularly regarding Fort Huachuca. It is an intelligence base. It's not where you're going to scramble jets off of after a terrorist attack. This is where they train people that are in the intelligence community for covert missions. That is why this is significant. They confirmed that building that he said, this guy really does just have the best or work luck ever and just gets out of his 25-year-long NDA and stumbles into another
25-year NDA is crazy.
We're keeping this open, another federal operation. And so I think it's important, and I have hesitated to do this for a different reason. I think we need to allow this man to tell a story.
Let's go.
To explain who it is that he believes that he saw that day, exactly what he believes happened, since everything thus far that he has told me.
Let's go.
I find him to be incredibly, or I should just say, I find him to be actually quite credible. He's very credible, and he's very sincere, and I think it helps. I don't want to be the middle person. I don't want to be the middleman.
But you're always a
and
middle
tell
person.
you this guy's credible. I want you guys to feel the same way when he walked through what happened and how he was questioned and what his sense was of why it was happening. I want you to recognize his experience. I've reached out to him and I've said, look, we've got this last week on the show. Do you want to come on and tell your story? And he has said yes. And obviously, I think that we need to learn more about Brian Harpole's whereabouts. And I can tell you that I now know exactly which flight he was on when he came back from Tokyo. That was the thing that I had wrong. I said, oh, well, Tokyo had to have happened at the same time. I was wrong, obviously, because you gain so much time coming back. You essentially fly backwards in time. He actually lands into Los Angeles on a direct flight from Tokyo, landing into Los Angeles at 6:45 p.m. on the 7th, before continuing down to Dallas, getting there very early into Dallas, very early morning on the 8th.
I'm sorry, you have not convinced me. Candace, show us some flights. Show us his boarding pass. Show us something that we can believe and say, oh, this is how, just because you say he landed at 7:39 p.m., ma'am, I can look up a flight from Tokyo and say it and get that information. That's not information. I mean, that's not evidence. Show me that Brian Harpole was on that flight. How do you know that? How do you know he went from LA to Dallas? Show us a flight log. Show us his boarding pass. You need to give us evidence. And I'm going to still say right here, because I really want to be wrong, you're never going to see that guy that she's talking about. He's never going to come on the show.
It is possible for Brian Harpole to be able to make that meeting at Fort Huachuca. It is just possible. So we are going to keep prodding this particular narrative because, like I said, I sense a panic here that is very real, and I've never seen this kind of a sustained.
Because the panic is from you, Brenda. The panic is from you. The panic you're feeling is internal. It's an internal panic.
Psychological attack on my character, meaning they are now quite literally engaged in fan fiction. They're just making stuff up every day. I wake up and I don't even know what this is about. None of this is true. And I've realized it's because they want to deplete our energy. They want to have our resources go to fighting stupid stuff. And we're sitting here and responding to every tit for tat. And we're not focusing on.
Oh my gosh. That's what you want the FBI to do. You want the FBI to be digging in looking for valves and tunnels, your dreams, 12 Israeli cell phones. That's what you want them to do.
Timelines and delivering this information and reaching out. We only should be spending our time on the Egyptian plains and what happened on Fort Huachuca base. Nothing else. Obviously, other stuff matters. You have information about what happened on September 10th. It matters. But this is where their panic is. These two things it's very clear this is where their panic is. And I almost just finished it's just one more plane, SUBTV, that had the longest flight logs for the Egyptian planes. And I just wanted to get the finishing touches on that before we put it onto our website. But that
It's never going to happen.
I know I told you we're going to do that today, but we're going to bump that until tomorrow.
It'll
because
never
I
happen.
do feel confident in stating that those Egyptian planes are linked to Israel, and that fully explains the mass freak out. So we have, well, big days coming up ahead of us, guys. We're going to have this guy give you his testimony, and it's very controversial, but it is the truth, and we must follow it. And we are also going to make that accessible for you. Maybe I can even get it up tonight on CandaceOwens.com. And I also think that I should share the pictures of the inside of the car to the people who have been investigating that and have felt that things were real. And we'll just take a brief pause here before I answer some of your questions and comments.
All right, y'all, I'm telling you right
question
now.
for you.
She is, y'all, I apologize. This is, yes, whoever said this is disgusting, you're 1,000% correct. But you know who's not disgusting? The best live chat on the internet. Ruben Rojas with the 10. Her problem, she has no idea about canine and the certifications. They go through certification for narcotics, explosive, and more. Her ignorance in things that can easily be found will be her downfall. Shout out for sure. Shout out, Ruben. Thank you so much, man. I'm really feeling bad. I don't like this one today. I don't know. This is like draining because it's so dumb. Like the stuff you're talking about is just nothing. Like you're just shot clock watching. You're just clock watching. Thank you so much, Exilla, with the 20. I'm a canine unit specialized in explosives. She's right. Most dogs can smell the same things. The difference is one of them is trained to tell us when they smell, and some dogs have stronger noses. We even had a Cocker Spaniel in the academy. I totally believe that. Now, hear me. I'm not saying that dogs can't do what Candace was saying they do. My problem is she makes it sound as if first of all, she was creating a narrative. And somebody actually reached out to me with some more evidence that maybe I will show a little bit later, but I think it's very interesting. Shout out to you for sure. Thank you very much for that 20. Claire says this with the 20, the 2 Australian. Candace is low for implicating the dogs. I mean, we know who let the dogs out, though. Welcome, Brittany, brand new member. Welcome to you. Shout out. And Debbie says this with the 5. There's 314,000 yesterday, and today her top is 145,000 in chat. Love your podcast and love the group here. Thank you for what you do. Shout out for sure. Let me tell you this. I fully believe that a lot of Candace's support has been, if it's not bots, it's definitely unequivocally some NPCs. For sure. So I totally believe it. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And we got 2 from Phantom says this. Search dogs are not bomb dogs. They are searching. Yeah, man, come on. Thank y'all so much, man. And again, she's getting info from TV shows. Girl, just quit. I mean, she over here on Law and Order, man. She over in the Law and Order. Law and Order SVU had a marathon yesterday, and she over here on the Law and Order marathon. Shout out for Heather. Heather Rose says this with a 5. Candace slid into insanity years ago. Most people just did not recognize him. I mean, no lie detected. I'm right there with you. That's crazy work, man. For sure. What does Bunny Mom say? Watch out for the bunnies with a 10. That's not how car auctions work. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah, like that's crazy work. My dad used to buy cars from the auction, and most of the time they were from rental companies. They sell them as is and not insurance claims. Right. And trust me, a vehicle with bodily fluids in it can be sold at auction. And matter of fact, go to YouTube and look up detailers. There's tons of detailers that specialize in cleaning cars with bodily fluids in them. So that's not an unheard of thing. They just sell it at an auction. They already bought it. They've been getting their monies off of it every time they rent it. So selling it at a quote unquote loss is not really the loss that you think it is. It's not so shout out for sure. Thank you, Bunny Mom, for that. What do you have here? Thank you so much for the 2. Tomorrow, right? Oh, everything's tomorrow. Everything's tomorrow. Captain Jackson, I was stopped by more PD for speeding. Every time I went to a homicide scene, trying to get to the scene before my partner. Yeah, shout out. Like, to say that an FBI agent speeding That's uncommon, right? Police officers speeding never happens. Shout out to the 5. Thank you so much. What do you have here? Sammy says this. I thought she said there was no blood. Well, see, her story has morphed over time. So we don't argue with Candace about her story because her story just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Hey, real quick, let's finish this up. She's back. Pray for me. We're almost done.
On YouTube, and people are commenting about how X is almost unbearable because it's so botted and everybody's just saying the same thing. I wish we could help them with these psychological operations. It's so obvious when it just looks like talking points. Like a million people were suddenly wanting to say the same thing. She's sold out. Her energy is off. And then when you see like Tim Pool and Nick Fuentes, Candace is over. She's over. It's finished. It just makes it very obvious to the public. Like you could be more sophisticated at these operations. Whoever's running them probably just needs to be replaced. Bring me in. I'll tell you. Like, oh, a little too much. You got to crank it down a tiny bit before people start to trip in and recognize that these are military bots. And by the way, how long have I been telling you on this show? Well, everybody was loving Elon Musk. I said Elon Musk handed over X to the military. I've been talking about military bots forever, and I'm glad that people are starting to see it. It's just the reality is freeing the bird by putting it onto perhaps an intelligence base. I don't know, but it's frustrating. It is frustrating because it doesn't allow us to be able to communicate with one another when we're dealing with like bot farms. They're effectively, think about it, they're like soldiers. They're bot soldiers that work online. And the target is always us. But I feel like we're winning. I don't know. I'm incredibly optimistic.
What are you talking about?
Speaking of which, number one comment from yesterday's episode is transparency is never found in private meetings. That's where deals are made. Well, that was my only option. I'm always willing to have a transparent conversation. You can put that comment, you can slap that comment under a Turning Point USA episode, not here. I am still willing to talk to anybody. They wanted to bring the temperature down to have a private meeting. That is totally on them. If they'd like me to come back to have a more transparent discussion, I would go on Charlie Kirk's show. You guys can ask me any question. I mean, you guys know how I am. I prefer to just communicate everything.
Of course she does. She wants to be on the scene.
Like it's better. You just feel better. This person writes, "Go Max, beautiful. We all want to know the truth, but we are praying for your safety just as hard." Yes, we also received a ton of emails of people asking us, what are you doing about security? Can we help you with security? We did actually create, for people who don't want to maybe buy our awesome gear, we have tons of awesome kit that you can get on the website. But if you'd like to just give a gift to support our security and what we're doing, you now have that option. You can go to CandaceOwens.com/support.
What a great time to say, hey, by the way, I have an international assassin in town that's trying to delete me. But she won't talk about it. Why won't she talk about it?
And these are obviously very serious conversations that we are having, because Charlie just got assassinated in broad daylight. And I feel like everyone is sort of signaling that they want me and Tucker. Like when you don't want to be name checked with Bibi Netanyahu. And they are just growing increasingly volatile in this rhetoric.
What about your own assassin?
Who don't stand with Israel. It's very terrifying, but at the same time, I know that it's necessary for people to recognize how greatly evil these Zionists are. Covering up, attacking people for trying to get to the truth, attacking their reputation, attacking their families. And I think these people are very dangerous. I want to be clear. I think these are the children of Bolsheviks that are in this country. These are Trotskyites, and they have the same methods, the same psychological methods. That's why I say get your children out of these schools. They are run with a Soviet methodology. Anyways, also, guys, if you'd like to support the show, and in a really fun way, you can go and buy my book. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. I was told by a New York Magazine person, it's laugh out loud funny without even trying. Like they were like, did you intend for the book to be so funny? I was like, no, feminism just is funny reflectively. And you reflect on feminism and the things that we've done as a society. It gets very hilarious. You guys can buy that at makehimasandwich.com, or you can just throw it into your Amazon cart for the Christmas season. Signed copies are available at CandaceOwens.com only. Okay, back to your comments. This person writes, Operation Mockingbird, everything is not what it seems. Piers Morgan is playing stupid when he eats the Fed slop of JFK. Oh yeah, I did sit down with Piers Morgan this morning. And I think this is just me and Piers Morgan. This is our thing. Like at the end of every year, he has me on the show, and he's like, "You're crazy. You're ridiculous. This is nonsense. This, of course, didn't happen." but he peaked when he said maybe JFK really was just shot by Lee Oswald Harvey. And I was calling him out on this strategy of saying, well, you said the Egyptian planes, then you implied Turning Point USA. Yes, in a grand conspiracy, by the way, it's going to be multifaceted. There's going to be multiple layers of people that are covering it up, people that were in on the plotting, people that were incentivized by money to keep their mouth shut after. There's varying degrees of guilt. And of course, when it comes to JFK, you've got like the mafia involved. There were Cubans that were involved. There was JFK, I'm sorry, LBJ that was involved. APAC implied, obviously, or whatever their name was before they became APAC. They changed their name after. So that strategy of pretending, unless you say it's one person with a gun,
I don't think anybody said that.
Is an absolute nonsense. It defies common sense. And we have common sense. This person says, if I ever catch a bullet, I'd rather have one friend ask 1,000 questions and get half of it wrong than have 1,000 friends who don't even ask one question. That is so well said. I think about this often. All of the people that Charlie platformed, that he helped out, what are they doing? They're spending time attacking me for asking questions. Not even able to say what I got wrong. And that was what was tremendously alleviating, and sitting down and having them acknowledge that these lies were real.
But you never said what they acknowledged.
It feels like for months, 3 months, we were just being gaslit. It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
But you never actually said what they've affirmed. Candace, this is exhausting.
This is just crazy. I don't know why she's saying this. And I'm saying it because you shouldn't tell lies, especially after the biggest political assassination since JFK and RFK. Like,
oh my gosh.
Wonder why they're
JFK wants to.
Why they're telling these lies.
Once you leave him alone.
Op Station writes, here is the money, Piers. Yeah, he's always betting me. Never pays up. I mean, he still thinks that Brigitte Macron is...
Candace actually has said that she won the first bet. She actually said, like, pay me up, and she was dancing on camera, but now she's affirming that she didn't win the bet. It just seems odd.
A woman who just doesn't want to release any photos of 30 years. Just really hates the cameras and just, oh, yeah, I know I have all these kids. I raised them. I was pregnant and they were born in birthdays, but I just don't want to release any pictures of myself for 30 plus years. I mean, come on. It's such a nonsense, guys. Get real. Jake Riley writes, with all of the evidence that you found, will you eventually give over your evidence to be used in court? If not, how do you see the value in continuing to investigate?
Great question.
If it won't be used effectively? Of course I would hand it over. Of course. Why would I? What was it just for me? They're the ones that are acting like it doesn't even exist. Hey, I said, Cash, I have evidence the French Legion was on the ground that day. Has Cash reached back out? And I say Cash, I mean, I reached out to the FBI, not specifically to Cash.
Right. See, you'd be lying.
But he's answered by not answering. I'm Megyn Kelly. They're not interested. They're not interested, in my view, because they're implicated. The feds are implicated in this 1,000 different ways in what they didn't do on that day.
If they don't agree with you, they're implicated. Boy, that does not sound narcissistic. That does not sound like a mental disorder that if you don't agree with me, then you must be guilty of what I'm saying. Okay. That does not sound at all like some kind of real problem.
And this isn't just my opinion. That's what I want to make clear. It's not just Candace ranting and saying this. This is actually what the public believes as well.
No.
This is what the lack of evidence shows and reveals to the public. This is what the police officers that were there that day believe. Everybody that is involved on every layer is saying nothing makes sense in terms of what happened on that day, except for influencers. Yeah, I hope you're feeling influenced to be an idiot because they've got something for you.
Boy, she mad.
Derpy Derp writes, please don't dismiss your supporters as bots. Everyone sees that Erica acts suspicious all the time and you are dismissing that. Why? Mikey's behavior is the most damning evidence of all. I have never dismissed. That was not what we were speaking about. I was saying when people were being like, she sold out, she took money. That was obviously, it was just being so said over and over again. And it just defied reality of anything that I said yesterday. It was 4.5 hour meeting. I have an hour to just kind of tell you what was said.
But you actually can talk longer than that.
Dismissing Mikey's behavior. I gave you what was given to me. That's what
you wanted. You actually run this show. You could do the show for 2 hours. You could run the show how you want to. Running over to Instagram or hopping and like you did the show and then you ran over to Instagram. Why didn't you do what you did on Instagram on the show? You could have just made it 2 hours, hour and 30 minutes. I mean, I don't think most of us would want to see it, but you get my point.
And what's their excuse? This is their excuse. I'm being transparent with you and telling you this is what was given to me. I find it remarkably suspicious that no one felt fit to mention that it was a three-way call. It makes Blake Neff's story especially weird because he makes it seem like they have this moment. He's got a quivering lip and he looks at him and he says, I have to call Erica. But why would he say that to Blake Neff if he's on the phone with his wife? It actually leads to more questions.
So?
Right? It leads to more questions.
But the questions don't change the problem. Somebody put in there earlier, Charlie Kirk was deleted. When Blake Neff called his wife or called Erica is really incoincidental. Inconsequential. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything unless you're trying to say that he did it. If you're trying to say that he did it, then I guess everything matters. If you're not trying to say he did it, guess what? That doesn't matter.
I've heard everything that you guys have said about Erica. I have responded to you guys and I've said to you, when Erica tells a lie, I am going to reply to that lie. And that is exactly what happened when she went on her PR blitz and she said that Charlie didn't text anybody. The first thing I did is I said, that's not right. Everything that is said that is not true, I'm going to hit back at. That's just where I'm at. So keep it honest and you don't have an enemy of me.
Who cares?
Corey writes, sorry, I missed this person. Donna writes, prayers answered. Dan Bongino stepped down. Candace and Dan should work together, maybe a few shows together. I wonder what he's going to be allowed to say. I'm going to assume he had to have signed a very extensive NDA, maybe 25 years long.
25 years is crazy.
I'm hopeful he'll violate it.
Wow.
I think he's stepping down for a reason. I think his soul was being compromised with the Charlie Kirk situation because Charlie Kirk was a friend of Dan Bongino's. He was also a friend of Kash Patel's. And he seems to just be pretty soulless at this moment. And I would like to know what his schedule was. If we can place Kash Patel, if you guys can help place Kash Patel on the 9th. If you guys can help place Kash Patel on August 25th. So that we can say, just like I did when Barron, I think very responsibly, said, where was Donald Trump? Where was J.D. Vance? I found J.D. Vance with Donald Trump at a restaurant that evening in D.C. I think it was about 6 o'clock. They were photographed. And so same, I would like to be able to say where Kash Patel was. And I would like to find out who that Sam was on the plane, because as you will learn, and I'm going to jump off here after this, but as you will learn in the near future, and one of the congressmen that
everybody catches
Harry,
strays.
his old name, Harry, I keep almost saying his new name, which he's going to be open about anyways, but that he believes he saw coming out of that meeting did happen to be a Las Vegas congressman.
I can't
So
stand
I'm
this.
thinking,
Goodbye.
okay, was he then, when it turned back to Reach, was he dropping off somebody? Is that how they know each other?
Is it a Las Vegas congressman or Nevada? Is it Las Vegas? Maybe it's a Las Vegas congressman. At this point, Candace is saying stuff. She could have said that he was a Martian. And I think the man could have said he was a Martian. And she'd have been like, okay, yeah. He's from Roswell, Area 51. She would have just ran with it.
At Las Vegas. Again, I can't confirm that because these aren't my
Why
guys.
don't you confirm it
So
before you
you're gonna have
say
to hear direct
it?
from him and see whether you find him to be credible or not. Anyways, you guys, that's it for today. Pretty explosive episode. We will
No,
see
it
you
wasn't.
tomorrow.
Y'all, shout out to the best live channel on the internet. You know what? I might make an audible. We might not do every day because this is starting to, I can see how people fall into the trap of believing Candace, because I feel for them, or we're going to have to really untie all the comedy, okay? It's going to be one or the other. Y'all going to let me know. Like, stop doing the show, or we're going to have to unleash the pure, unadulterated comedy. We're going to have to mock it more because, my goodness, in the morning, I can see how the Candies, the Cantifa, their minds have just given up. They just gave up. And they just like, whatever. I just want slop. I just want the foolishness that you're serving. Candace, they like her for whatever reason. And whatever you talk about, I want to support it. That's it. So we're going to have to come up with, we'll talk. We'll talk. Maybe I'll do a poll or something like that. I like rocking with y'all. This is fun to me. But today I'm like, it's exhausting because you just see that she's just lying. She's just literally fabricating in 4K. Just out of whole cloth, just making up stuff. Woo! Shout out to Goose. I'm back Oh, I'm back. I'm pretty sure Erica said she didn't want Charlie Kirk cleaned up because she wanted to see what Tyler Robinson did. The DC call was with Vice President Vance. TPUSA and explained the call. I do think I remember this. He asked what they needed an autopsy ASAP. I do remember that. Shout out for sure. But see, Candace is going to keep, again, this was a nothing. This was a giant nothing. And she's just going to keep casting doubt, casting questions, just asking questions. What does Zoe say with the 10? Grace and peace to this channel. Mods and beautiful chat. Has anyone heard from G Webb? That is the rabbit hole that this story on Candace gets crazy. Thank you, Psalm 91, all the way. G Webb. I need to know who G Webb is. I'm sure I'll find out when I get done. I will look into G Webb. But I'm pretty sure, unequivocally, if they're lost in the rabbit hole, Candace is right down there with them. Thank you so much, Patrine, with the 5. Cash Patel was questioned about the flight to Vegas because head of FBI has the use of the plane. Use of that plane. It's on the stuff for Congress. Yeah, people mentioned that. He answered that question before Congress. So what are we doing? Thank you so much, Kaylee, with the 5. Charlie Kirk had an event scheduled for a town less than 15 minutes outside of Colorado Springs on the 11th. He was probably checking it out for security. Nothing weird there. Well, if you go back and listen to the Sean Ryan interview, it sounds like, hey, we're going to be in this area. Why not do that? So to your point, Kaylee, with the 5, it does sound like, hey, well, if I'm here, let me go just scope out this other area as well and give some intel and tell people what I see. That makes perfect sense to me. Thank you, Captain, with the 5. Maroon shirt meeting will be held at Norman, Oklahoma this Friday at 7 o'clock. Jason will have a seat reserved for you. Shout out. What is that? Is that Oklahoma State? What is that? Tell me what that is. I think you told me in the chat. Hold on. Oh, yes. Oklahoma University Stadium. Absolutely. I'm going to come. Hey, I got my maroon. I'm ready. I'm ready for sure. Thank you so much, Craftsman with the 2. He didn't say they were there on the 24th. Right. Yes. You're talking about Brian Harpole. Yeah. He didn't say they were there. They just started doing their research and the paperwork. Shout out for sure. Thank you. Phantom with the 2. My anniversary is the 24th. Are we involved too? Hey, where were you? Come on. Tell us where you were, my brother. Where were you? Happy anniversary. No, that fort is not where the train intel people. But see, somebody is going to tell Candace something. People will send Candace anything. I would kind of love to see the tip line just to see what it looks like maybe the subject lines, because I'm sure it is a hot, steaming mess of crazy. I'm sure of it. So people are saying it, and it fits her narrative, so she's going to run with it. I guarantee she don't check that. She doesn't research and vet it. That's what I mean. Did the time zones get her again? It's her kryptonite. Good point. Thank you, MC. Flying back from Japan into LA. You are flying. Aren't you flying back in time if you go from Japan to LA, and you're flying forward if you go from LA to Japan? You lose a time? I think so. Might be wrong. But I'm not the one making these claims. Shout out to Captain Jax. My brother had to sign a 75-year NDA for Iraq and Afghanistan. Wow. That's a long time. Shout out to, again, Texas Bully Mom with the 5. Someone needs to write a book about her and her fictional story. It'll be a really good book. Maybe it'll be in the fantasy section. Let me tell you, it will definitely not be in nonfiction. That's for sure. Thank you, Goose, again with the 10. Also, Candace Owens talks about breaking HIPAA with Andrew Colvett and Doctor. But what about her talking with the alleged nurse of George Zinn and what he said? He is likely mental given his history. HIPAA violation. That's what I'm saying. Like, most of the stuff that Candace accuses people of doing, she really does it. She's really doing it. That's the problem. But I appreciate it, man. Good, clean observation right there. I love it. What does Sin say right here? She's been a member for 2 months. You heard her say they're only going to talk about planes and fort, whatever. She is toast. I believe she signed papers and she has been muzzled. Yeah, like her pushback on TPUSA is highly reduced, a great deal. Now, maybe she says she won't talk about it on her show. That's why she was so loose with her lips on Piers Morgan. Maybe that's what she did. And so, well, I'm not talking about it on my show, but I'm talking about it on what? On Piers Morgan. But yeah, you're right. This is going to be interesting to see where she goes next. Captain Jax, the first thing we tell a jury is this isn't TV. No DNA in an hour. Exact. Etc. Please forgive me. No, you're right on the money. Like, Law and Order has messed up a lot of people. Law and Order has messed us a lot up. Thank you, Ruben, again. I bet one of the TV shows she mimics is Medium. No question about it. Lots of feels. Lots of feels. Curtis, man, is the team sponsor, is a stream sponsor, man. You have definitely been a blessing. Thank you so much, Curtis. I really appreciate you. Thank you for this very kind 50. He says this, I really almost can't even listen to her anymore. She's so insufferable. I keep waiting for receipts. Where are they, Cantifa? Like, why are the Cantifa people not asking for receipts? We don't support Candace, but Cantifa people, you support Candace. Maybe you should ask for receipts that you might convert one of us. Shout out, Curtis. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate y'all. Thank you again, Captain Jax. If she wants a public meeting, no money from private meeting. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's why she wants the meeting to be public, because she wants to get that cash. She wants that AdSense. Absolutely. We should send her Brown University to help. They have about as much as she has on Charlie's case. She's dangerous. It's time for Erica Kirk to sue her. Thank you for the 5. I'm going to go out here and say, I'm starting to think that maybe they did threaten her. Maybe they did say, hey, here's what this cease and desist letter looks like. And this is what we're going to sue you for. These are the instances where you were wilding out, and we're just going to let you know this ahead of time. I wouldn't be surprised, because she doesn't talk anything about what the people said. She talks about her cousin being there, which is kind of weird, but and her husband being there for a short period of time. I don't know what he was doing that was that important that he couldn't be there and just be like there to support his wife because he knows why she's having this meeting. That just seems weird. It's very, very curious. A friend doesn't tear down your legacy and family, MT. Thank you for the 2 for sure. Phantom says this, us working with Cubans in the 60s, she is dumb. Yeah, I mean, there's just entirely too much long-range evidence that really tears this thing apart. Like, man, come on. You really want me to believe this story that you're telling instead of the normal, what is most likely happened? Because she's so in the doubt that none of this, that it can never be the simplest way. That's what she's doing. Thank you so much, Grind Princess, for the 20. 1, she's a demon for the pics. 2, Candace. Candace has what's known as a psychopathic ritualist grin, or a duping delight smile, a fixed, exaggerated, or unnatural smile that appears disconnected from the genuine emotion used to manipulate. Really? Man, I would love to know what her mental diagnosis is. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And coming back around, Goose again says, Jason, please Google Baron Coleman whisper campaign, confidential informant. Who's Baron Coleman? Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that we were just looking at. That Candace was looking at. Baron Coleman whisper campaign. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, this is the first thing that popped up. It's like, wait, this guy is a confidential informant? That guy that she was speaking so highly about, is that him? Okay, I'm looking this up. Okay, I have to look. I'll do some more on this. Thank you, Goose. This is a crazy story, man. Thank you again with the 10. A reminder, the prosecution has received over 13,000 files from the law enforcement, not pages, files. Think of the amount of pages of evidence, phones, car info, videos, interviews, etc. Yeah, I'm like, who are you talking to that's saying they didn't take a picture of the car? They didn't investigate the car. They're like, come on. That doesn't even make sense. Thank you, Kimberly, with the 5. Who's responsible for Candace's tips? 1, George frat brothers, or 2, Candace's old high school bullies. Either way, their secret would be safe with me. I don't know who it is that's giving her these tips, but I know one thing. They are a hot, steaming mess. That is crazy work, y'all. Yo, that was exhausting. I ain't gonna even lie. But I do want to say before we get up out of here, real quick. I mean, we had the gun evidence. We had the issues with the calling out the feds, FBI, and of course the planes. And by the way, we did find the plane. Remember that? Shout out MT. Make sure we knew what the plane looked like. There is the Egyptian plane. We got the Egyptian plane with the Israeli Star David hat on. You know, that plane is legitimate. That's a legit picture, y'all. Don't be saying that it's not. Don't even try to bring that to me, because we know it's real. But then also, y'all, we had the we gotta take a moment of silence. We want justice for Freya. We want justice for Freya, right? We gotta make sure that help Freya, the bravest bomb-sniffing puggle, sue a famous podcaster for slander. They said she missed a Tyler Robinson rifle, whatever that is. She only sniffs for squirrels and artisanal cheese. Donate for pain and suffering. Shout out for justice for Freya. Justice for Freya, y'all. We can't let this go unmatched, y'all. We cannot. Make sure y'all help out Freya. And the way you help Freya, y'all, is by hitting the like button. Thank y'all for watching the video. Make sure you tip your waiters on the way out. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me, y'all. This has been a long one, but I know we're gonna make it through, y'all. We're gonna make it through. So thank y'all so much for hanging in there with me. I appreciate y'all for liking, sharing, subscribing, all that kind of good jazz. If I earned it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you tip your waiters on the way out the door. Make sure you drop those green hearts in the chat. If you're a member of Cantifa and you want to give up on Cantifa, don't worry about it. Drop your membership, your Cantifa membership card in the trash receptacle in the back of the church, and we will accept you. Welcome. Welcome to all of y'all. Everybody, thank y'all so much. We'll do this again real soon. Oh, by the way, let me double check. I know I said I'm done. Let me double check. I think Paramount Tactical is going to be going live tonight. I think, or it might have been last night. I hope it's tonight. I hope it's tonight. Oh, it was last night. Oh, crackers. Okay, my bad. My bad. I thought it was tonight. They went live last night about what Candace said yesterday. So they haven't said it about tonight. But what I'll do, I'll check a couple other content creators. I'll make a community post, because I would love for y'all to go support. We got time, of course. I got to take Chief Executive Second Born out driving as it gets dark. We got to work on our night driving. So I'm going to go take her out driving, but I'll try to jump in and find some others. I would love for them to talk about those fractional bullets, those fragmental bullets, because I think that's super informative. So everybody, thank y'all so much for rocking with us. Green Hearts on the way out the door. Thank y'all again. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.